Whoa, 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 whoa.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, October 20th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1183.
This is No Agenda.
Applying for the Russian asset position and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33, the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm watching Pete Buttigieg throw Tulsi Gabbard under the bus as a Russian agent, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Oh, is Mary Pete piling on?
Mary Pete. I didn't get it as a late clip. By the way, there's a bonus clip.
Yeah, I got your bonus clip.
There's I almost got a bonus clip of it, but so he's on Meet the Press with Todd.
Chuck Todd, Chip Todd, the Toddcast. It's the Toddcast, everybody.
And so Todd asks him about this, and Buttigieg says, well, he's I'm just going to paraphrase, but believe me, you can watch this. I'll get a clip. We'll play it on the next show. He says, well, I don't want to get in the middle of anything.
Well, yes, he does.
Wait.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
I don't want to get in the, he does, a sandwich. I don't want to get in the middle of anything, he says, but the Russians have been, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
And then Todd pushed him further, and he says, I don't want to talk about it.
Well, you know where this stems from. This stems from, let me just hold on for a second. 15 years ago, I never thought that I'd be talking with you on a podcast about something Hillary Clinton said on a podcast. Who ever could have thought this would take place? I mean, this is a beautiful invention. And as you know, people like to go all out on the podcasts. And this is where Mary Pete's getting it from. Did you hear this whole Hillary podcast with David Plouffe?
I have not heard the whole thing, but I'm familiar with it. What happened?
All right, so I'll play the relevant part first, which is the one that Pete Buttigieg is piling on to. This is what Hillary Clinton said on the podcast with David Plouffe, who is not just any old podcaster. No. Besides a very boomy room and sirens wailing outside, he was also the campaign manager for Obama 2008, and I'm not sure if he did anything in 2012. I'm sure he did something. So he has a podcast, and this is what went down.
One of the reasons he was able to win is the third-party vote. Right. And what's clear to me, you mentioned, he's going to just lie. I mean, you forgot he's going to say whoever our nominee is will ban hamburgers and steaks and you can't fly and infanticide, and people will believe this. So how concerned are you about that? For me, so much of this does come down to the win number. If he has to get 49 or even 49.5 in a bunch of these, I don't think he can. So he's going to try and drive at people not to vote for him, but just to say, you can't vote for them either. And that seems to be, I think, to the extent that I can divine a strategy, their key strategy right now.
Well, I think there's going to be two parts. And I think
what? I know. Isn't it beautiful?
What a convoluted,
isn't it beautiful?
Convoluted logic.
No. This is why I have 3 clips from this podcast. I mean, and the stuff they're saying is like, what? And infanticide and what is all this? I mean, do you want to hear it again, or do you just want to move on? You tell me.
He's too unbelievably. It's just screwy, but okay. No, just move ahead.
To the extent that I can divine a strategy, their key strategy right now.
Well, I think there's going to be 2 parts, and I think it's going to be the same as 2016. Don't vote for the other guy. You don't like me? Don't vote for the other guy, because the other guy's going to do X, Y, and Z, or the other guy did such terrible things. And I'm going to show you in these.
Stop. I'm sorry. Can I interrupt a few times?
Of course you can interrupt.
So what she's saying. Apparently, nobody has ever done anything like that in the past.
There's never been a Ross Perot as a third party.
There's never been anyone who says, don't vote for her. If you don't like her, don't vote for her.
No. Oh, yeah. That's new. It's a new tactic. It's Trump land, man. It's new stuff.
The other guy, because the other guy's going to do X, Y, and Z, or the other guy did such terrible things. And I'm going to show you in these, flashing videos that appear and then disappear, and they're on the dark web and nobody can find them. But
whoa, wait a minute. This is why whenever I see a popular sound bite or a clip, I always go to the source, because people always cut it off. They miss the nuances of the good stuff. I mean, did she just talk about videos that were flashy imagery? You've never seen them, then they disappear, and then they're on the dark web? What is that? And did that help Donald Trump win?
The other guy,
I don't know what she's talking about.
It's great.
The guy's going to do X, Y, and Z, or the other guy did such terrible things. And I'm going to show you in these, flashing videos that appear and then disappear, and they're on the dark web and nobody can find them. But you're going to see them, and you're going to see that person doing these horrible things. They're also going to do third party again. And I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset. Yeah, she's a Russian asset. I mean, totally. And so they know they can't win without a third party candidate. And so I don't know who it's going to be, but I will guarantee you they'll have a vigorous third party challenge in the key states that they most need it.
So that prompted Tulsi Gabbard to get on the Twitters immediately and accuse Hillary Clinton of being the true source of evil against her. I knew you were hiding behind the curtain. Come on out there, Hillary. I knew you hated me. Even though she did not mention Tulsi by name, I think it was smart. Tulsi grabbed it right away. And, of course...
Well, Tulsi found... there was a word that a Clinton associate was grilled by somebody, and she made it clear it was about Tulsi, even though it was pretty clear. I do have a CBS report on this, by the way. CBS actually covered this as...
Oh, well, I saw very... Well, they didn't have Tulsi on, I'll bet.
No, but here's the coverage. Gabbard as spy.
Okay.
Now to an extraordinary development in the presidential campaign. Hillary Clinton, the 2016 nominee, called Tulsi Gabbard, one of the current candidates, quote, the favorite of the Russians. Nancy Cordes is following this.
Isn't that interesting? Just listen to the words that she uses there.
Of the current candidates, quote, the favorite of...
Hold on. Let's go back a second here.
Campaign. Hillary Clinton, the 2016 nominee, called Tulsi Gabbard, one of the current candidates, quote, the favorite of the Russians.
No. She did not say Tulsi Gabbard is one of the favorite of the Russians. That's a fucking lie, CBS. Now, it may be what she intended, but that's bullshit. No one said Tulsi Gabbard's name.
Nancy Cordes is following this. And Nancy, what are we to make about all this?
Well, Nora, Hillary Clinton did not mention Tulsi Gabbard by name, but an aide confirms that that's who she was talking about when she made this stunning claim that the Russians had already hit on a way to meddle in the 2020 election, much in the same way they meddled in her election in 2016. On a podcast interview, Clinton said, quote, they're grooming her to be the third party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. Clinton was referring to the fact that the Hawaii Congresswoman gets a lot of attention from Kremlin-linked media, just as Green Party candidate Jill Stein did back in 2016. This afternoon, Gabbard lashed back, accusing Clinton of trying to destroy her reputation and calling Clinton, quote, the queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption, and personification of the rot that has sickened the Democratic Party for so long. For now, most other Democrats are staying out of this fight. Gabbard, who is at 1 or 2% in most Democratic primary polls, has repeatedly said, Nora, that she does not plan to run as a third-party candidate.
An interesting omission that I think every report made was she said this on a podcast.
No, she said that. No.
Listen to what I'm saying. They didn't say David Plouffe's podcast. They say a podcast.
Yeah, this is a problem.
Of course, because they don't want anyone to figure out how corrupt this is, that it's Obama's guy who's doing the interview. So it's a problem about I'm seeing it as a meta. They don't want to promote
specific podcasts. Heaven forbid people go listen to them.
No, you make a point there. Here's Tulsi's response on...
but just before we leave that report, I should mention another little element that's going on besides the fact that Buttigieg just threw Tulsi under the bus.
Yeah.
Bernie refuses to back her. And all the Tulsi fans, I don't know if it's in your stream of tweets, but it's in there somewhere. Apparently, when Bernie was screwed over by Hillary, Tulsi came out in support of Bernie and made a big fuss about it, and which I think is maybe part of the reason this is a payback from Hillary for doing that, heaven forbid.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, what people are irked about isn't that so much as the fact that Bernie refuses to back Tulsi after he got helped.
Well, I'm glad
Bernie's a douchebag.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I have a clip here from 2016 where it is exactly about this, that Tulsi backed Bernie.
What about any retaliation? The Clintons have had a well-oiled machine in Washington for years. Do you fear any retribution from the Clintons? And what's your relationship been like with her?
Well, I was heavily warned by people who care about me to not endorse Senator Sanders because of that fear of retaliation. And look, that fear is something that exists in a lot of folks that I've heard from. There is far too much at stake here to stand on the sideline and let politics get in the way of what's real. And what's real is war and the cost of war. I've seen and felt that cost firsthand through my service and my deployments to the Middle East. And I cannot stand on the sidelines and do nothing when we have a clear choice that many people are not informed about. There are very stark differences between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that people know what those differences are so they can at least make an educated and informed decision.
And as you'll recall, she resigned as vice chair of the DNC over this, over the corruption that was going on during the primaries. Now we're in 2019. Tulsi can't get an interview anymore, except probably true on the Kremlin-linked RT or the Kremlin-linked Fox News.
Let me tell you what this is about. This is about Hillary Clinton sending a very strong message saying that because I am and have long been calling for an end to our country's foreign policy of waging one regime change war after the next, the likes of which we've seen in Iraq, in Libya, and ongoing in Syria, and because I'm calling for an end to this new Cold War and nuclear arms race, that I am a Russian asset.
She's very consistent, I'll tell you that.
And that I am a traitor to the nation that I love. And not only are they saying that about me, they are basically sending this message out to every veteran in this country, every service member, every American, anyone watching at home who is fighting for peace and who is calling for an end to these regime change wars, this new Cold War and arms race. They are saying that you are also a Russian asset, that you are also a traitor to this country. That's really what's happening here. And the reason why she's doing this is because ultimately she knows that she can't control me. That I stand against everything that she represents. And that if I'm elected president, if I'm the Democratic nominee and elected president, that she won't be able to control me, she won't be able to manipulate me, she won't be able to continue to work from behind the curtain, to continue these regime change wars that have been so costly. Thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform were killed in Iraq, a war that she championed. Their blood is on her hands. I am calling for an end to these regime change wars. This is why she's speaking out strongly and smearing my character and trying to undermine my campaign. And just as she is doing this to me, this is what will happen to anybody who's doing the same.
She could back off a little bit on my bloodied brothers and sisters. That seems to be the only message she has. So she could do a little better than that. But I think politically it was the right thing to do. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Clinton meant her. But this Russia thing, Hillary Clinton is still obsessed with this. I have just a couple more clips from this podcast. It was so mind-blowing to hear what she was saying. Because, Putin, he's still in the game with Trump.
We have to assume that since it worked for them, why would they quit? I mean, Donald Trump is Vladimir Putin's dream. He said that the biggest catastrophe, I think, in history was the collapse of the Soviet Union. As a former KGB guy, he is intent upon undermining democracies and trying to lay the groundwork for a resurgence of Russian greatness, as he posits. And Donald Trump is delivering that to him on a daily basis. I don't know why exactly. I don't know what Putin has on him, whether it's both personal and financial. I assume it is.
Golden shower.
But more than that, there is this
Showers,
bizarre adulation Trump has for dictators and authoritarians. He dreams of being able to order people to do things and make them do it.
Pee on the bed.
He has no democratic instincts, really. And I saw that when I was Secretary of State and traveled to 112 countries. One of our big problems
I like to slip in that I traveled to 112 countries.
were people who got themselves elected and then became authoritarian and then did everything they could to rig elections, everything they could to make sure that they were never forced out of power. That is his game plan. That is what he's trying to achieve. And it's terrifying to me because, scholars like Professor Timothy Snyder, who wrote that great little book on tyranny, they've told us.
What is this great little book on tyranny? Are you familiar with this?
I don't know.
Okay.
Professor Timothy Snyder, who wrote that.
Professor Timothy
I'll look
Snyder.
it up.
Yeah, okay.
That great little book on tyranny, they've told us.
It's just, if you're going to tackle tyranny, just do it in a little book.
Like Professor Timothy Snyder, who wrote that great little book on tyranny, they've told us what the game plan is. But I still think people have a hard time believing that, David. It's like, really? Oh, come on. That can't really be true. And so part of what we have to do is alert the campaigns, try to protect them, work with people like Eric Holder and others who are trying to protect the voter registration and the actual voting process. Try to raise the alarm about the breaches of our election systems. Try to stand up against the misinformation, weaponization of information, the propaganda.
Misinformation, weaponization of information, the propaganda. That's a bumper sticker.
But they're going to have unlimited money. I think the amount of money that the Trump campaign and the RNC is raising right now will be really hard to compete with. And it's not that money.
Russians.
Well, hold on. She had twice as much money as Trump in the last election. Wouldn't that be hard to compete with?
Listen to the end here.
But they're going to have unlimited money. I think the amount of money that the Trump campaign and the RNC is raising right now will be really hard to compete with. And it's not that money.
Russians.
And the Russians. It's not that money is everything, but you do have to have enough.
No. You got to have enough money. All right. So now I'm playing this a little bit out of order. One of the things I've mentioned, I think in the past couple months, is that the politicians, certainly the older demographic politicians, still believe that you can control the people and give them the message, whatever that is, and they will believe it if you do it all through television, through the media, and through the New York Times, Washington Post, USA Today, LA Times, throw it all in there. Because that's how it used to work, and we could just do a statement, hand over some talking points, and then the talking heads would read it, and then, of course, don't paying attention to Operation Mockingbird, that there might have been some CIA assets controlling the news as well, but it's a long time ago. But these days are over, and the same with the European Union. These politicians still believe that they can keep the order in the way they want it by truly using propaganda through mainstream media. And of course, that's no longer true. This show is an example of that. But when you hear it coming out of Hillary Clinton's mouth in the manner in which she says it, it's mind-blowing.
I'm just curious if you have a sense of how the media environment we're in right now may change things.
I think you summed it up really well. I think we are in such an information overload world. People can't figure out what's important, what's more important than something else. How do I make sense of this? When we had 3 networks, a couple of major papers.
The good old days.
And a lot of other papers. So remember, yes, might have been the New York Times, the Washington Post, but you had really good papers across the country, from Boston and Baltimore to, L.A. And it was wall-to-wall coverage. You could not escape. You couldn't get distracted. You couldn't dive into your own social media feed. You couldn't go down a rabbit hole chasing conspiracy theories. It was the country's business being reported on and presented in a serious, thoughtful way. And we don't have that anymore. We have a really difficult environment to do politics in, or to govern in, legislate in, and certainly conduct an impeachment inquiry in. And we have a single network that is a propaganda tool for not just the Trump administration, but the point of view, the kind of elitist, fear-mongering point of view that preceded him, but has been amplified by him with Fox. So I think it's a lot harder for Americans to know what they're supposed to believe.
Oh, you're doing it wrong, Americans. You don't know what to believe. You're believing
what they're supposed to believe.
I know. It's beautiful.
It's harder for Americans to know what they're supposed. Hey, you're supposed to believe this. Which, by the way, is what I run into at the LibJoes. I did not make this the thing. I didn't put the LibJoe gag together this show, unfortunately. But when I read what they have to say constantly, it's always right along these same lines, exactly the same. They are expressing what Americans are supposed to believe.
Supposed to believe. Yeah, supposed to. And even though she, of course, doesn't want to portray that, the truth just came out there. You're supposed to believe this because that's what I say.
By him with Fox. So I think it's a lot harder for Americans to know what they're supposed to believe. When Walter Cronkite got on your evening news and said, I've been to Vietnam and they're not telling us the truth, people went, whoa, I can't believe it. But Walter Cronkite's telling me that. I remember in the impeachment work I did in 1974, Sam Donaldson, who was, a very prominent correspondent, he would stalk us, trying to get us to talk, to say something. But he had to physically stalk us. He didn't get to stalk us online. He had to actually show up and say, come on.
What?
Like we're doing now with her.
Yeah, we're stalking her online, of course.
But he had to physically stalk us. He didn't get to stalk us online. He had to actually show up and say, come on, Hillary, talk to us. So it was a much more controllable environment. And now I think we're living in the age of distraction, and that benefits the less serious, the more anxiety producing or conspiracy minded people, because they can plant so many seeds so cheaply and easily, and they don't have to stand behind it. And Facebook, biggest news purveyor in the world, can say, oh no, we're not interfering. It can be an absolute lie. It can be Nancy Pelosi in a mashup of a deep fake, but we're going to let people decide. People can't decide because we are conditioned to believe what we see and what we hear when it is delivered to us in what looks like an official way. And we've got tens of thousands of channels that are doing that.
Yeah. So just so everybody understands, Hillary Clinton thinks you're stupid. That's the message here. You stupid idiot. You don't know what you're supposed to believe because you're being tricked, you morons. Morons.
Well, that's an extreme interpretation. I'm not saying it's not true, but what I get out of it is a little different. I get the impression that she actually is very knowledgeable.
She knows a lot. She has a lot of current knowledge. She has a lot of current knowledge of what's going on.
And don't forget, she was the tech expert girl, and she was the one with the internet in a bucket, internet in a briefcase,
in a box, in a briefcase,
internet in a box, all this stuff.
The techno experts,
and she's on the computer. There's lots of.
She's on the BlackBerry.
Remember her at the hearing? She's always on her phone. She's like a teenager. She's on the phone all the time, looking at stuff. Yeah. So she's not, a slouch. She's not like a complete nudnik in terms of technology.
She sounds like someone who's been keeping up on everything to hop into the race. That's what she sounds like. Well, she's ready. She's sparked up. Wait, let's just talk about the debates for a moment, because the last short clip here. Because, of course, the debates are, they're very hard when you have someone who's not playing by the rules, like a Donald Trump. And, the debates really, there's only one person you can really blame when they go wrong.
But you still have to prepare for them. You have to prepare for them if you think it's going to be a serious endeavor. Trump didn't prepare for them. He sat at his country club in New Jersey with Rudy Giuliani and a few people, and they just traded insults, like, and then call her this, and then, say that. Because he understood that the press was still paralyzed. They were incapable of dealing with him. So call me names, do whatever he would not pay a price for it. And unfortunately, whoever does the debates this next time is sure going to have to be better than they were last time.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure, Hills. Yeah, you really got robbed in the debates, Bill. For sure. For sure, I got to change that. They're fantastic. Please do more of these, Hillary. Do more of these. I love Hill the podcaster. It's the best. And the plan is apparently to bring it all back to Putin, whether it's Ukraine or anything, because the Nancy Pelosi is in lockstep.
You know, that was the subject of conversation yesterday at the White House. I also pointed out to the president I had concerns that the L road seemed to lead to Putin. The Russians had been trying to get a foothold in the Middle East for a very long time unsuccessfully, and now the president has given them an opportunity with the Kurds reaching out.
No. I know she's full of shit, but let's just listen to it, and then we'll stop and deconstruct it, because she says it over and over again.
And now the president has given them an opportunity with the Kurds reaching out to them for support in Syria. They have the Russians were the beneficiaries of any withholding of assistance or encouragement to the Ukraine. Again, Putin benefits. The Russians benefited, Putin did. The president placed some doubt about our commitment to NATO right from the start of his administration. All roads lead to Putin. Then the president said, well, the reason I'm taking the troops out of Syria is because I promised in the campaign to bring the troops home. My question to him was, is Saudi Arabia home? Is Saudi Arabia home? Why are our troops going to Saudi Arabia if you promised to bring them home? He said, well, the Saudi Arabians are paying for it. Really? We're putting our troops in harm's way for Saudi Arabia because they're paying?
Yes.
It just didn't add up. But what it did do was cause a meltdown on the part of the president because he was unhappy with those questions.
All right, let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. All of a sudden, this all roads lead to Putin. Oh yeah, Putin's always wanted to have a hold in the Middle East, like the deep water port he's had in Syria for forever? 45 years.
Yeah, and they used to be number one buddy with the Iranians. They still meddle. Yeah. They've been in the middle. They've had a foothold in the Middle East for a long time. What's new?
This is new.
In fact, what was new is that they kind of gave up their foothold a little bit and let us come in there and screw things up. When they used to meddle, they wouldn't have put up with that in the past.
And our NATO ally in Turkey decided to go not with our fabulous weaponry, but with the Russian S-400s. So good. You know, they'll be incoming.
You know, if there was a scheme afoot, it would seem to be that I'm reminded of how the U.S. was suckered into falling in line with taking over where the French left off in Vietnam.
Yeah,
the French. Yeah. Oh, we need some help. Can you? Oh, we're so long. Bye. We're out of here. You guys can handle it.
Yeah.
We were totally suckered by the French to take over the Vietnam War, and the war we lost, no matter what, however, you can't cut it any other way.
Yeah.
I think if there's any way of suckering both Turkey and Russia into taking over this mess in the Middle East, which has done us no good whatsoever, that unless someone can say, well, it's done us some good because of this, I don't see any good that's come out of our being in the Middle East. No. So if we can sucker the Russians and the Turks to take over and fight these idiots that are there in endless wars, I'm all for it. I don't understand why anybody's against this. It makes no sense to me.
Now, I think she has a superficial point about military in Saudi Arabia, saying, well, they're paying for it. Isn't that exactly what NATO is, even though they're not NATO? But don't we do this all the time? People put money into the pot and we go stand around and protect their interests. So it's not much different from a NATO situation.
Yeah.
And secondarily, the only reason I think it would make sense to have some presence there is to protect the price of oil. I mean, if we have people,
American interest.
Yeah, that's totally. I mean, I'm not happy with it at all, but I can justify it among all the other bull crap we do with our military. But. Yeah, wow, yeah. That's just rewriting history right there. Rewriting history.
Wanted to get a presence. What a bunch of malarkey. This woman is full of crap.
Let's talk about her face for a moment. The amount of work now, because I
only on the No Agenda show.
The amount of work she has had done is astronomical.
Apparently, she's had so much work done that someplace in a closet, there's another Nancy Pelosi made from her parts.
See, now you're just being nasty. But considering her age, it is unbelievable the work that's done, and it's great for appearances. I mean, you just look at her, it's like, and if she has the right lighting and the right camera angle, she doesn't look a day over 65. And what is she now? 80? Is she in her 80s? I think
she's 97.
No. I think she's. Oh, let's take a look. I believe she is 79.
I think she's 79.
Yeah, almost 80.
But that could also be. She might have tacked on pulled back a few years and over time.
Oh yeah, she totally has the full Monty going back behind the ears, and they cut right along the line. I know this because of my first wife. I'm very skilled in seeing what's going on there. And I would say, if you have money, there's hope. Women are always complaining about because they get a raw deal. Men start to look more distinguished. They will tell you, and women lose everything. They will tell you. But if you have money, then there you go. Not bad. All right, where do we go from here? Do you want to go to the impeachment task force, or what is it?
I don't have any. I believe I don't have much in the way of. I have a couple of screwy things. I got a lot of screwball clips today. I don't know that I have any impeachment work. I would rather actually, maybe to get out of the way, would be the Brexit situation, which is really, that's to me is amped up.
Yeah, I'm ready for that.
Well, I've got a couple of clips. I got the vote, which I thought was really a good one because it includes an ISO. This is the Parliament vote to stall Brexit. Just a regular vote, but it's dramatic.
Order!
Yeah.
Go on, Boris. You'll have a feet turn.
The ayes to the right, 322. The noes to the left, 306.
Wow.
The ayes to the right, 322. The noes to the left, 306. So the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Unlocked.
I presume the ISO is
order.
Good one. So we said Johnson's not going to get the job done, and he may pull this defense of, no, bullcrap, Boris Johnson. He never intended to get it done. The guy's a shill. He is not on anyone's good side over theirs.
Well, I have three clips from PBS. Actually, did a good rundown.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, and it's a three-parter.
Okay,
and this is it breaks it down in how it works, but they do something in clip 2 that I'll point out before we play it. But start with Brexit Report 1.
Will they stay or will they go? The fate of Brexit, Britain's long-running plan to exit the European Union, remains unknown today. An extraordinary Saturday session of Parliament ended with a vote that delays a decision on Prime Minister Boris Johnson's recent negotiated agreement with the EU.
No one anywhere in this chamber believes in lowering standards. Instead,
Johnson presented the new plan to a bitterly divided House of Commons today, hoping for an end to years of debate.
And now is the time for this great House of Commons to come together and bring the country together today.
Leaders of the Labour and Scottish National Parties called the deal even worse than one Johnson's predecessor, Theresa May, tried and failed to negotiate.
Mr. Speaker, I also totally understand the frustration and the fatigue across the country and in this House. But we simply cannot vote for a deal that is even worse than the one the House rejected 3 times.
This Tory government has sold Scotland out, and once again they have let Scotland down.
In the end, there was no vote on the overall Brexit deal, only a vote to pass an amendment that is supposed to slow down the process. Outside Parliament, hundreds of thousands of protesters filled the streets, many of them calling for a second national referendum on Brexit and a chance to keep Britain in the European Union.
We called every single piece of this. Worse than Theresa May's deal. Do-over of the vote.
Now, there's something that's interesting they've used. There's a propagandistic term that just showed up. And it's called, and I've never heard it before, but they keep saying it. And it's as if it's a negative term. It's used for the purposes of demeaning the Brexiteers. And it's called crashing out.
Right. Crashing out means we go without a deal. No deal Brexit, correct?
Well, why don't you just say that? We went without a deal. We're leaving the EU without a deal. That seems different to me than the violent term crashing out.
Well, of course it's yes. Of
We're
course.
crashing out. Oh no.
Yeah, if you like. Well, yes, yes, you are correct. This is completely propagandistic, and it is intended as such.
Yeah, it works because they keep using it on PBS. What has PBS got to do with it? They use the words.
Oh, okay. So PBS is using this now in their own lexicon?
It's in the report. I just started noticing it, and so I just put it in here. But this is part 2.
We need to have another say. We need to say what's on our minds. So many people have changed their minds. This is Britain today. This is the UK today. We need to be asked again, is this really what you want?
Frank Lanfett is a correspondent for NPR and author of the recent book, The Shanghai Free Taxi. He joins me now from London. What exactly did Parliament vote on this morning?
Well, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, wanted them to vote on his Brexit withdrawal agreement that would take the country out, ideally from his perspective and from the deadline at the end of this month. But instead, lawmakers in the Parliament had a different idea. They're concerned that they can't get all the legislation finished in time, and they were afraid that the United Kingdom could inadvertently crash out of the EU with no deal at all, causing a lot of economic damage. So what they said is they've passed an amendment saying we will approve this only once all the legislation has gotten done. So this has actually delayed the vote.
Who was responsible for setting up, for orchestrating the possibility of a delay?
Well, there were a number of lawmakers who were very concerned about crashing out of the EU. And also, I got to be honest, there's a lot of distrust of Boris Johnson. You remember last month he suspended Parliament here. The Supreme Court of the United Kingdom slapped him down and said you broke the law. And so there was concern that either through accident or perhaps deliberately some Brexiteers might try to foil things, basically mess up the legislation so that the country crashed out. So even people who want to vote for this deal were very worried. And so they backed the amendment, compelling him to ask for an extension from Brussels.
Oh, what you're hearing, okay, now I understand it. What you're hearing here is an embedded reporter who has been assimilated. He's been sucked into everything, including using the term crashing out, which I think actually shows his bias.
Oh, he's incredibly biased. You can tell the whole thought by his report. He's against the idea of crashing out.
Yeah.
And he hates Johnson. In fact, they asked him about this, and he's, what's the real problem here? Johnson. So he is, he's been assimilated by the Borg.
Mm-hmm.
And resistance is futile. So let's go with the part 3.
What must Boris Johnson do legally now?
Legally, he is supposed to write a letter tonight to Brussels asking for an extension. He says he won't do it. He just refuses to. And the reason is that all along he said that he would rather die in a ditch than go back to Brussels and promise to get the country out. Because, of course, it's been almost 3.5 years since the 2016 Brexit vote. And so he's adamant he won't do it.
What are the true sticking points?
The true sticking point, I think, here really is...
Did you see the whole video of this? Because this is edited by a 12-year-old.
Worse.
With questions go ahead.
Well, it's scripted to the max.
Yeah.
And it's and the woman who's doing it, this is the Weekend Report, because this all happened on yesterday.
That explains it. Okay.
So we have the Weekend correspondent, and apparently Shrivnaz, the good guy, the guy who's really talented that does the Weekend PBS show, wasn't working yesterday.
Right.
So they brought in this woman who I've never seen before. And she is maybe was brought in for a purpose so she could work with this guy who's the crash out guy.
You can hear the inserts just, what was the part? Here. Oh, and by the way,
no, it was very poorly edited, but it was scripted to the max, and she's reading from the script, and it's not a free flowing conversation in any way.
What are the true sticking points?
The true sticking point, I think, here really is the distrust of Boris.
Just to and fuck over this, it sounds like she's in the editing bay talking into the microphone in the desk. It's like, oh, we need a question here. Okay, what are the true points?
And he won't do it.
What are the true sticking points?
The true sticking point, I think, here really is the distrust of Boris Johnson, and the fact that this timetable is so tight. This is one of the biggest decisions made by the UK government in many decades, and they don't want to make a mistake, and they don't want to miss something.
Well, the Hill is reporting that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is calling for the deadline for Brexit to be extended, which leads me to wonder, what's been the economic impact of all of these delays?
Wait a minute. What'd you ring your bell over? I missed it.
What is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce have to do with this
mistake, and they don't want to miss something?
Well, the Hill is reporting that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is calling for the deadline for Brexit to be extended, which leads me to wonder, what's been the economic impact of all of these delays?
I was on a train recently up to Manchester, and I met two people who work in they're headhunters in the City of London, the financial district. They voted to remain in the EU. They said that right now they can't get any business done. People can't make a decision because there's been so much uncertainty. And in fact, they would actually back Boris Johnson's deal. So they actually were switching sides. So from a business perspective, I think that this uncertainty has cost a lot.
What do average people think at this point?
They're exhausted. What you hear a lot from people is get Brexit done. Nobody thought, certainly when this was sold to people, the Brexiteers said this would be easy. It's been anything but. And I think there's a tremendous amount of Brexit fatigue. Even some people who voted to remain would like to see this done. I hear it even from some young people. So I think people are very tired of it. It's very interesting. You talk to people and they'll say, even if there is short-term economic damage, I just want the country to move on. It's very striking. That said, thousands were out today saying we need a new referendum in this country. The deal that Boris Johnson has is not at all what we voted for 2016. So the country also remains very divided.
Do-over! My goodness.
I don't know how often that we're going to have to go over this again and again and again, predicting since day one the do-over for 3.5 years, the two of us.
Yep.
And it still keeps coming into the conversation, and they won't pull the trigger. They're going to have to do it. The do-over is coming.
Of course it's coming. That's the only way that they can keep them in there, because that's the whole point. And I never want to hear another British person ever say anything about our politics in America, okay?
Yeah, that's a good point. But the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, by the way, which is always at loggerheads with Trump, is a globalist organization. It's got nothing to do with the normal Chamber of Commerce.
Of course it is. Well, also, we have other issues regarding Brexit. I had this clip here, speaking of globalists. Yeah, this is, Fifi Lagarde left the IMF and went to the European Central Bank to steal the money from everybody. And her replacement is not as fun. Kristalina Georgieva. I'm not quite sure where she's from, but we're crashing out. The whole economy of the whole world is crashing out. Brexit, Trump.
The global economy is now in a synchronized slowdown. Fractures driven by trade, driven by uncertainty surrounding geopolitical tensions and Brexit. They're holding back growth. And they're causing hazards in this shared road we are traveling on. They're slowing us down.
I think she's trying to do a version of Dave Chappelle's Alphabet People in the car, but it's not coming out right. Because we're on the road to growth. And it's slowing us down. Yeah, no, that's her only message. It's just slowing us down.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Got to blame something.
Yes. Hey, there's a story that was breaking. And I wanted to ask you about it. California has passed a law that goes into effect January 1st, 2020. And it is the gig, I would call it the gig economy law, although it's actually California Assembly Bill 5.
Yeah.
And it's meant to help define what gig workers are. And,
it's a further
and how they're treated. Yeah, so
further fine tuning of a labor law,
right? And if they're treated, if they can be treated as independent contractors, or if there's some reason that they should actually be full-time employees with benefits, etc. And while they were doing this, and of course a lot of negotiation goes into it, out of it came a ruling regarding freelance journalists in California.
Huh.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This I missed.
Oh well, check it out. I'll read this verbatim so I don't mess it up. The passage of Assembly Bill 5 offers some relief. Freelance writers, editors, photographers, and editorial cartoonists were given a partial carve-out, allowing publishers to hire them for up to 35 separate content submissions in a given year. So because journalistic publications, their core business is journalism, they are curtailed and cannot just hire temporary work contractors continuously, because it's their core business, so they have to hire full-time people, unlike an Uber whose real business is booking, not driving. That's the gambit they use there. So now in the law, freelance journalists may only submit 35 content submissions in a given year to and they have a term here, to the, what was it, a putative organization.
Putative?
Yeah, putative.
What's putative mean? Putative
is, I looked it up actually. I'm glad you asked me that. Let me open this up. I think it's if you describe someone or something as putative, you mean that they are generally thought of to be the thing mentioned. So I think what they're trying to say is the organization. So if I'm writing for BuzzFeed, I can only work for them for 35 stories a year, which of course is going to put a lot of people in the poorhouse. They're doing 35 a week of this clickbait
some
shit.
Of these guys.
No, not some of them, all of them.
Daily.
All of them. And the way they came up with the number is they said, well, they felt that a freelancer is like a columnist, a weekly. This is how nuts it is. So a weekly columnist would submit, roughly 25 columns per year. They cut.
No.
I'm just 52. I'm sorry, 52. They cut that in half. There was pushback, so they took it from the 25 or 26 and they bumped it up to 35. That's how they just, it's arbitrary. But now I'm reading here from the Hollywood Reporter headline: everybody is freaking out. And this is going to kill. I'm happy with it because it's going to kill these stupid ass websites. I mean, people are getting $25 for a column or for a submission, as they call it, to the putative employer.
Yeah, then they do 3 a day to get $75.
Yeah, but that'll count as 1/10 of your annual budget.
Yeah, you can only do this for 10 and a half days and you're done.
And there's and this is, you should talk to the LibJoes about this. And there's clarity is needed on what the putative organization is. Is it the holding company that owns multiple publications? Is it just each individual?
Really screwed.
Oh, yeah. Is it each individual publication? So if you work for Condé Nast, can it only be 35 for all of Condé Nast, or can it be 35 for each of their publications? So that's why the word putative becomes important, but I don't know how it's going to work legally. But I thought that was, and it's also, isn't that in a way freedom of press, a freedom like a First Amendment issue?
It is. Yeah, it's now that you mention it.
Yeah.
It's unconstitutional.
I mean, they're literally
it's
stopping.
The law abridging the freedom of press.
Yeah. That's California. Über alles.
Well, California Über alles has always been unconstitutional, but yeah, that's unconstitutional now that you mentioned it.
I think it's great. And while we're on that, we might as well talk about Trump's lawyers. They sent an email to CNN. Did you see this thing?
Yes, this was another great distraction of the week.
Well, what I found interesting is essentially, see, the law they're citing is the Lanham Act, which I happen to know a lot about.
Yeah, well, you should, because it's about trademarks and copyrights.
Well, and false advertising. I was sued under the Lanham Act when MTV wanted MTV.com. And, of course, both the parties settle out of court. Neither party has any further comment. But the Lanham Act is also for false advertising, and that's what I found funny. It's completely misinterpreted by Twitter and the retards everywhere else. I'm sorry, I can't call anything else but that. It's like, for calling him bad names, he's upset. No. The Lanham Act says if you say you're unbiased and you provide fair and balanced news, that's false advertising. If you're not, and of course they cite the Project Veritas and all of that. So it'll go nowhere. But I thought it was interesting that it's only sent towards CNN because, right there in the title, fair and balanced, Fox News, you can take them down for it too.
Oh,
if we're really going to apply the Lanham Act, then let's do it. And it's just, it always bothers me when people misinterpret these things that are done and it becomes truth. Well, I guess that's a lifelong.
Well, I got into one go around with a Twitter. I told him the Lanham Act. This is about the Lanham Act. This is if anyone thinks this is going anywhere and wants to argue about it, count me out.
Yeah. Exactly. It's stupid.
It's stupid, but it's so funny. Scott Adams had. I have to say, I don't particularly like. Clipping him. You have to clip him. You got to really clip him hard because he's got a lot of pauses.
Yeah.
But he came out with some funny stuff on his Periscope show, which by the way, and he's got a new book out, which I'm supposed to get a copy of.
Mm-hmm.
And
is it how not? What is it?
How to be a loser?
How not to be a loser? That. Yeah.
And he, I've finally decided. I'm watching him do this. It just dawned on me. I said, when I interviewed him, he was already talking about a loss in income on Dilbert, but it's not necessarily because people hate him or Dilbert. His market is dying. For the cartoon business is he's the last of the Mohicans. Selling these panels.
Yeah.
Because the newspapers they're kicking. Half of them already kicked out and fired their editorial cartoonists.
Yeah, they can't afford it. Period.
They can't afford anything, and and the syndicated stuff they can kind of afford, but they're going to probably cut. This is like I hate to keep telling these stories, but
why? We love your stories. Don't hate telling them. It's good.
Doesn't mean I like telling them.
Yeah.
But I'm at Tech TV.
You consider a different profession.
And you've noticed, you've probably seen this too. They had to do some cutbacks. So the first thing they start cutting back is first it was free milk.
First the food. It's always the coffee, the food, the
food goes
craft
first,
service table.
The second thing they went
parking,
was the makeup artist.
What? No. Before makeup, parking goes. We literally saw that at Mevio. What are you talking about? We had parking.
We never had parking.
At Mevio, we did. I said at Mevio. Don't you remember? I protected your coveted spot.
There was hardly enough parking to count.
I protected your spot, man.
Yeah, I did have a spot.
Yeah. Then next is makeup, and then it's the lighting director. Of course, that's how it goes.
Yeah, the makeup the way it went at Tech TV was first the milk and coffee, and then it was the makeup artist, which was ridiculous because the makeup artist, I think, to any makeup artists out there, and you would know this in particular, the makeup artist is maybe the most important person or persons.
Yes.
At any of TV operations.
And let me explain why. People may not realize this. The makeup room and the makeup staff, and these are artists, are also psychologists. They are the ones that will sit there, will know the shit that's going on in your life, We'll talk to you about it. We'll make you feel calm. Would you like another cup of tea, a cup of coffee? Oh, yeah. And they while they're making you look good, they will completely build up your ego. And it is a fundamental part of certainly of any live television, but any television in general. Makeup is where the peace and the calm is put into the guests and the hosts. Would you agree?
I would agree with that, but I'd also, in most situations on television, people don't realize that many of the incredibly attractive women are at base ugly ducklings. And they could use a couple hours, and they'll take it. 2 hours in the makeup chair, they come out Miss America. And that's very important for the image of the network. Do it yourself. Having some of these women do their own makeup is a nightmare.
Yeah, and then but also television makeup is very different. I mean, it's a very different animal. And of course, after they get rid of the makeup department, then they get rid of the fluffers. I mean, it's just downhill from there.
Well, in this case, they got rid of wardrobe, and which is another thing. So people had to start dressing themselves, and this is not going to work.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of thing that goes on. I don't know how I got off the track. That's probably why I didn't want to tell the story.
I like it, and I was just thinking of my own MTV story when I'll just take the ball and run with it. When I arrived at MTV in the late 80s, they had no makeup department, no wardrobe, and the lighting guy came in once a week. He said, stand here. He'd knock the thing around with his stick. Bop. He said, good, okay. Just, this is your mark. He put a little AC next to it, so I knew it was my mark. They had no hair, makeup, or wardrobe whatsoever. And it was, I mean, they were able to hire me and bring me over from Europe. I mean, this was a going operation. It was Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, it sounds Mickey Mouse. But back to what I think the point was, is that Scott Adams has seen the writing on the wall. And he knows it's a dying industry, and his cartoons are, so he makes, I think he makes the bulk of his money now on books about the cartoons and these expositions. And he's done a bunch of them. He's done like 3 books in the last couple of years they're always bestsellers. He's got a good name for himself. And then he does this Periscope thing, which is a promotional tour for the book.
Question for you.
Yeah.
What kind of money do you think an author like Scott Adams makes off of a book?
$1 million.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Okay, at least I have something to strive towards.
Yeah, he can make it. Well, he's got a name, and he's got the distribution. And he does big publishers, and they do big deals. And he could probably be laughing if he's listening to this. He doesn't listen to the show, but he could be laughing. Going, little does he know, he could be making $2 million, $3 million. I don't know,
or he could be making 200,000.
He's making $1 million at least.
Okay.
Minimum.
Well, you would know.
And so he does these. So he does this Periscope thing, and some of it's pretty funny. But he did one the other day about the predicting that whatever happens when Trump pulls out is that you're going to hear about a hospital bombing and using chemical weapons.
Oh, good. So he does listen to our show, is what you're saying.
Well, he says this is the case with all these. He says it doesn't matter whether it happens or not, but you're always going to hear about it. But he did a kind of this would be something I'm always. You do it, you still do it, I still do it. It's kind of a problem, which is the being sarcastic on the internet or even especially online, because you just can be quoted out of context. Yeah. But he went on I got a clip here of Scott Adams on McRaven. So McRaven, the general, and then Mad Dog Mattis and McRaven, this real douchebag admiral from the Clinton administration, Obama buddy, both of them Clinton supporters. They went after the president, which I think was very unprofessional for professional military men to do this because he's the commander in chief.
Yep.
But they did it anyway. And McRaven was really, and it was about Syria, and he screwed up Syria. And Hillary's all in on this. Oh, Syria, we got to be in Syria, even though we weren't in Syria, as you proved 2 shows ago when you played all these old clips.
No boots on the ground. No boots on the ground. Advise and assist role. We're not fighting anything. No.
So Adams goes off in a very sarcastic, funny kind of a sarcastic rant, which I thought would be worth playing because it's amusing. But again, it's sarcastic. So I can imagine people listening to this and agreeing with him instead of realizing he's being incredibly sarcastic. But I thought it was clippable.
According to Admiral McRaven, This president has damaged our standing with other leaders and our credibility, so much so that how can we depend on them in the future? For example, let's say we got into a big war. Do you think we could, depend on Greece coming to our rescue? No. Greece would look at the situation and say, well, look what they did to the Kurds. We're not coming to help them militarily. How are we going to win a war without the Greeks? I don't see how. What if let's say Russia sends a nuclear weapon our way and starts a nuclear war? We're not going to have the Kurds on our side. So how are we going to defend against a thermonuclear war with Russia if we have no Kurds? No Kurds at all. Like not even one Kurd is going to help us. What are we going to do? Well, I would say we're in pretty bad shape in that case. So Admiral McRaven has got a good point here. Who is ever going to help the United States? Who? Who is going to help us? Because before this, you can see that other countries were forming a line to give us money and military aid. And my God, other countries wanted to help the United States so much that we almost couldn't handle all the help they were giving us.
Yes, I recall the freedom fries vividly. That is very dangerous for him to do. Because when he does that, he sounds very serious out of context. I
know he sounds like he's serious.
And I'm sure
and he himself knows that he's quoted, I think Jordan Peterson made it popularized it, that I don't know if the number's this high, but 25% of people out there have no sense of humor.
Right. Yeah.
They don't get anything. And that means 25% of the people listening to him are going, oh, yeah, that's true.
It's funny. It's funny. We saw Scott Adams last night. We went to Dracula, the play, here in Austin.
Yeah?
Yeah. And so Tina and I were sitting there just before it started, people coming in. Scott Adams. We saw Meatloaf, Lizzo, even Stephen Hawkins. Austin's happening.
What?
It might not have been them, but man, they looked like them.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying. Scott Adams has a lot of doppelgangers out there.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's working it, and I think he's a smart guy that can make money. So,
well, he's got to make a lot to maintain his lifestyle, I think, or at least. I mean, he spends a lot of money. He puts money into real estate and all kinds of deals, and I think, and restaurants. I personally think
he's out of the restaurant game completely.
I think he's prone to being soaked if he doesn't watch out. Soaked. He's got to be careful. He's got to be careful. Well, I'm glad you did that. That was a good report. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the sea in crashing out, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning, you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning, all those feet on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, boots on the ground, and the dames in the nights out there.
Close enough. In the morning to the trolls in the troll room, who are ITMing away as we speak at this noagendastream.com. Where you were welcome this morning if you checked in by live pre-stream from Darren O. There's always some kind of live stream happening on just before the No Agenda show. On Sunday, I think DJ Steven will be taking over the airwaves. That should be fun to listen to. And it's a great place to go and troll other people, troll the hosts of the show, troll people live, just throw some stuff out there. Ask people what the price of Bitcoin is. Get an invite to No Agenda Social, or just hang out with people who generally aren't triggered. And noagendastream.com. Then I would also like to say in the morning to, let me get it here. Yes, well, it is the same Darren O'Neill I was just talking about. Darren O'Neill, who brought us the artwork for episode 1182.
Adam and John critique the show art.
Forgot we had a jingle for it. Yes, let's critique the show art. At noagendaartgenerator.com. It's a segment now, you see. It's a whole segment. Now, we had a hard time, once again.
That's a kind of a cute voiceover voice.
I'm forgetting who did that. It's I don't know who did that. Tom Starkweather's partner, I think.
Oh, well, she's got a dynamite voice. She should do some work.
She does some mixing too. She does some of the mixes, end of show mixes. So what we had a number of "We're All Gonna Die." We had some looks. We had the Queen as a lizard. We had LeBron with a money basketball and Chinese flags. Pete Buttigieg's head in a pile of poop. But the one we chose was the breakup with big tech, based upon, I guess, my quotable, since I've seen it pop up here and there. Let's not break up big tech, but break up with big tech. And it was well done. That
was a good line. It was a good line.
Thank you.
There was actually two pieces in this series that had a breakup with big tech. I think there was another. Yeah, the one where the comic strip blogger had a big tech falling off a cliff.
Right, which just didn't hit home for us. The one that we kind of both liked, but we didn't choose it, another Darren O piece, by the way, because we figured that people wouldn't get the joke. And it was an ABC News live from Syria shot, and it's clearly the Alamo.
And we discussed this particular piece. I liked it the most. Yeah. But then I relented, because as we discussed it, and then I came to the realization is that today's generations and many people who listen to the show, or just generally Americans, don't know what the Alamo is, and they would never recognize it if they saw it.
Exactly.
And that's what it was. It was the Alamo. And I don't think anyone would get the joke.
No, that was what we discussed. And so we agreed that no, they probably wouldn't. I mean, I know the Alamo, of course, and I'm confronted with the image more frequently than most.
Have you been to the Alamo?
I have, yeah. It's pretty small.
It's very small. It's like somebody's big house.
It's like, is this a tiny home version of the Alamo? I had a different idea in mind.
Yeah.
And do you know who's... when I was there, his artwork was on display. Do you know who was a huge collector of Texas art, in particular Alamo-related art?
No.
Phil Collins.
Wow, that's odd.
Yeah, and he has his whole collection.
Studio?
Studio guy, yeah. Or one more. Well, the Genesis guy. Yeah, Phil Collins. We all know Phil. Phil hates me.
He hates you.
Yeah. There was a period in the 80s where we would always be bumping into each other. I'd have to interview him if it wasn't, at Wembley Stadium for some kind of, one of those benefit shows. He would be in my studio. And then at a certain point, he'd just say, "Oh, Curry, too tall, too much hair, I hate you." And he would walk away.
Huh.
Yeah.
It was loving.
I think it was love, a form of love.
Yeah.
It was in the air tonight.
Should have gotten his autograph.
We have a system here on this podcast in which, we don't get elites to drop by. We don't have corporate money. We don't have sponsors. We're not a member of like a Podcast One network that, would get us money. No. What we've done is we have determined that we also do not have an audience. We don't. We just don't have it. The modern way of radio, let's just call it that, is you have producers. Your entire audience is a group of producers, and they help you create and produce the show in many different ways. Obviously, lights have to stay on, server bills have to be paid, food needs to be purchased, and that's why we have producers who support us financially. And just off the bat, I always do it in the second segment. I want to thank everybody who does a regular subscription donation, a sustaining donation. Some of it's $4 a month, some of it's $5 a week, some of it's per show. We have 1111s, we have fun numbers, 3333, 1212s. Thank you so much. It can't be said enough, because there is at least a base of support there. It's not enough to continue the show on, but it being there always makes me smile, because I do see the entire list each and every show. And I just want to take a moment to thank those people for always being there for us. And for today's show, we have a couple of executive producers and associate executive producers, and we're going to thank them as well right now.
We are the clockless CPU of podcasting.
The clockless CPU?
Yeah.
This must be a reference I don't understand.
No, I don't think anybody. I guarantee there's 5 people out there that get that joke.
All right, okay.
But okay.
All right.
Onward with the...
okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. The clockless CPU was kind of a holy grail of processors that was discussed for a decade or more, and it's still bandied about as something no one can do it.
So it's just it has no limitations. It just goes as fast as it can.
It goes as fast or as slow as it can. It's not. There's no clock.
Right.
It just does its thing. But it can't be, apparently, with most of the electronics world, you need a clock. You need something pounding the drum. You need something that's fixed.
Yeah.
We are the clockless. We're like the holy grail of podcasts. We're not in a network. We're not in all this bull crap. We're not in the union. There's a good one. We don't work for the New York Times. We don't have advertisers.
No.
But we do have these people, and we're going to thank each and every one of them right now. The executive and associate executive producers for show 1183, starting with David Boswell, came in with $500. And he says, one thing only, you both do important work.
And that's it?
That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, David.
He's followed by Sir... Yeah, thank you, David. He's followed by Sir Gregory Worley, Baron of South Mountain Lake, Virginia, with $396, which was also known as the Porcupine Engine, if you're a Chevy collector. Happy anniversary, $33 for each year. So I look forward to each and every show. Thank you so much for everything, you guys, and everyone that supports the show. Thank you all. Sir Greg Worley, and this is another thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sir Gregory.
Yes. Douglas Garcia. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No jingles, no karma. 3 in a row. Thank you for the years of information and entertainment. Boom.
Boom.
Roll.
3 in a row. Well, thank you, Douglas Garcia.
And those are our executive producers. So they all are princes for not writing War and Peace.
Yes.
So let's shift gears. Darren O'Neill comes in.
There he is. Speak of the devil. This is the Darren O'Neill from the artwork, Darren O'Neill from the pre-stream. Does Darren O'Neill have any kind of existence outside of our show?
I don't know that he's not a knight. Anyway, 2, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, no, he doesn't. 2, 5. Now he's still going for the trifecta.
We don't even know if he's real. He may just be an AI or something.
Oh, he could be that cartoon character he draws of himself.
Yeah, could be.
2, 5, 6, 7, 5, which has some meaning, I'm sure. Hello, John and Adam. The No Agenda University sweatshirts generated a few sales, and part of this donation. That's right. He did the No Agenda sweatshirts.
That's right. Oh, cool.
No Agenda University. Gorgeous. Just the No Agenda logo on a sweatshirt with university. And this part of the donation is part of the profits he's giving us.
Oh, thanks.
I have relisted the items and will be adding some more using other artwork I've done in the near future. The items will be available at noagendastore.com. I hope that John received the hoodie I sent him. Yes, I did, and it's prominently displayed. I also added some cash that I recently received unexpectedly to bring the total to 25675. Health Karma update. My dad's hip surgery back in the early July went well.
Good.
He's been progressing nicely since and is being able to walk with just a cane. No Agenda Health Karma works. Can I please get the Dvorak Curry marketing treatment for my podcast? Grumpy Old Ben's. He does it with Ryan Bemrose.
Sir Ryan Bemrose.
Sir Ryan Bemrose, yes, sorry. It's a tech guy's take on the world. So basically, we stole the idea of cranky geeks, removed the knowledgeable host from the mix, and added 2 unhinged hosts instead.
I'd say winning format.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
The Andrea is better than most of these things.
Yes,
There's so many tech podcasts. Why don't you do a tech podcast? Why should I do a tech podcast?
Exactly.
The end result is magical. We are just 2 old guys yelling at the cloud. Neither one of you are that old. GrumpyOldBens.com. Thank you for, GrumpyOldBens.com. I think, don't we have it in the rotation? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Grumpy Old Ben's runs all the time after the show on the No Agenda stream. Oh, absolutely. In fact, they did it live.
Talking about this, let me finish it, but then I want to say something about the stream.
All right.
Thank you for all you do to keep us sane. It's appreciated in the morning, Darren. I think we should do it on our show too. So I'm listening to the stream, and I decide I'm going to listen to the stream and see what, maybe it should be bumped, but I'm listening. And so, and I'm hearing this one guy, and he's going on and on and on. He's a one guy. He's a single guy. Yak. And he talks about, he's got some good stuff, conspiracy kind of stuff, which most of these podcasts seem to be. And there's other podcasts, and they come and they go. And there's a woman with another guy, and they're yakking about something. And they go for hours, and nobody ever does a "you're listening to."
Yes.
And I think streamer, we don't have to make it mandatory, but I think we should do it ourselves. That just at the beginning, like maybe at the end of this donation segment or something, at least twice in the 3 hours, we should have a canned. It has to be canned because it has to sound canned.
Okay. A promo?
You're listening to the No Agenda Show.
Well, we have those that run in between the shows. We have plenty of those sweepers.
That's no good.
Oh, just promoting our own show on our show.
Not our show, the show that is being
I understand.
broadcast.
But you said we should do it too.
On our show.
Yeah, you said on our show, you're listening to the No Agenda Show. Like that? Okay.
Yeah.
It's called the station ID.
It would be the equivalent of a station ID. There's no station involved, but it would be the equivalent. And I would like the podcasters that, and maybe you could do them all.
Yeah, because I need more to do. Yes. Send it my way, John.
You got time to do it.
I literally this morning forwarded you an email of someone said, I was too lazy to look up John's email. Please forward it to him. Like I'm your biatch. So
yeah,
sure.
Are.
Yes.
So, okay. Let's get back to the point.
May I make a suggestion? The suggestion is as follows. We need, coming from a background of doing this, why don't we get the voice that I just played, which was the show art voice. Here we go.
Adam and John critique the show art.
Why don't we have that voice go? You're listening to the No Agenda. Yeah, and then have her do that for every single show. Then we have what we call station color. And it's female, which is good these days for the social justice warriors.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I think it would be dynamite. It should be done for all the shows that are on. And
I'm on it. I'm making it happen as we speak.
Because it was bothersome. I'm listening.
Yeah, because you don't know what you're listening to.
I can't just listen for 24 hours. And so, waiting for whenever the show ends. And then even when the show ends, it's kind of sketchy what the show was called.
You don't know what it was. But there's lots of sweepers and promos in between the shows. That works very well. And, Void and Bemrose and all those guys have that set up beautifully. But I agree. Just doing that. If you're a part of the No Agenda stream, throw it. We'll do it too. We just
throw it in.
Okay. So Tom Starkweather now has work with his partner. Excellent.
Yeah, we need a couple of takes, not just so we can choose.
Yes, Mr. Executive Producer.
I'm just saying.
I'm going to give Darren.
I was thinking about this.
I'm going to give Darren O'Neill a goat screen karma because I just feel like giving it to him.
You've got karma.
There we go. Thanks, Darren O.
I was thinking about this suit thing, and I'm watching Amazon come out with some of these turds. And they need, and they say, well, let's just do a whole season. This worked fine when you had Kevin Spacey, a superstar producer, director, actor,
right.
Now out on the outs. He started it off with the House of Cards. They did the whole season at once without having to worry about it. But in network television, even when they only had 3 channels, they would run a series and they'd kill it after 2 shows.
Yeah.
Or 1. There's plenty of Broadway shows that were killed after the first night.
I'll tell you that Dracula should be killed off. I'll tell you that.
Well, anyway, they would kill these shows, and that's because there were suits. I think the suits are important now that I'm starting to think of like one.
The suits?
The suits. The guys who say, this show stinks.
Yeah, it is important to have some kind of suit somewhere.
Wait until you see this. There's a couple of new things on Amazon. They're just the worst.
Now, we watched something good last night, a couple episodes of Modern Love.
Oh, that's the worst.
Oh, I think it's actually incredibly good.
I consider it the most racist thing I've ever seen. Let's go and look at Modern Love from a distance.
What do you mean racist? You're thinking about something else. This is adaptations of the New York Times column Modern Love.
For one thing, the New York Times co-producer, so they're the kind of the suits. Okay, it's not racist. Name one woman of color in the entire series.
What shit do I give about that? It's a good series. Why? Who cares if it's racist?
The first show, this woman, she every guy she goes out with is a white guy who's a douchebag.
Yep.
And then she sets up shop with a black guy because he's not a douchebag. Black men are not douchebags, and white guys are all douchebags. You don't see this?
I took it very differently. No, I did not. She had no partner, and the doorman was her real friend. But come on. All right, whatever.
You don't think the line, I wasn't looking in their eyes, Natasha. I was seeing in your eyes whether you like them. I mean,
what's wrong with that?
It made me throw up.
Wow, you are a stone cold bastard.
Ugh.
It's a great series.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that you. Yeah,
I cried during
one
of
lit with candles. Let me just answer me that question.
No,
the room was lit with candles.
No. Wow. I mean, I'm pretty open to seeing weird stuff in show. I saw nothing but just lovely stories that I really enjoyed, and now I almost feel dirty for liking it because I'm being shamed for being a racist. Move on, please. Damn.
Like the one good review I saw, some guy gave it 1 star, says, I just wasted, he said, watched the 3 episodes, I wasted an hour and a half of my life. All right, onward to our donors who are more important than that horrible show. Anne's, the racist show, by the way. Anne Spillers is in, I'm sorry, she's up on deck, and she did send a note.
Wait, where are you? We're Joel Nelson. I don't know what you're doing. Who was
I jumped gun. For some reason, I saw Ann Spillers. Okay, Joel Nelson is in Richfield, Minnesota. $247. Hey, Joel.
And he has a note.
No, I saw was the JCD had note, and I know Spillers had a note, but I didn't see this Joel Nelson note. So, you know what I have to do?
No. Just because you don't like romantic stories and immediately see the black and white issues because you probably inherently are a racist doesn't mean that you can just go ahead and pretend you didn't do any work because you didn't have the email at the ready. You should do a lot better. You need the help of the one and only. And I hate dogs.
You do. There's nothing here. Joel Nelson sent another missing newsletter on August 24th, 2019.
Jeez.
Thanks, John. I didn't get the newsletter. But there's nothing that has to do with this particular.
Let me just do a quick scan. No, I don't have any Joel Nelson.
JCD has note. Oh, I'm sorry. I do have the note. He mailed this in. Well, that was fun going through squirrel mail, though. Dear John and Adam, this was supposed to be one half of a Lucky Jew donation, but like most things in my fiscal life, it's a bit short. Thank you both for keeping on with the best codpiece in the universe. I found it humorous, according to the Mueller report. Okay.
Show is off the rails now, okay? It's off the rails.
Karma requests. Okay, here we go.
Oh, yeah, sure. Throw some work my way.
Some human resource karma for his wife, who's growing our first.
Mm-hmm.
Needs some. These are all karma, so it's just one big karma.
Okay, big ass karma.
Health karma for me as I recover from an acute disc herniation. Small business karma for the dude named Ben who hit me in the mouth. Oh, that's nice. Positive thoughts to you both. And then a dealer's choice of jingles. If you want anything, you can throw something in there.
You know what? I'm going to give him a little bit of extra special Russian karma today, which we just received in the mail. I think that will be my dealer's choice, and then we'll throw in some goat karma.
У тебя есть karma.
You've got karma.
There we go. Russian karma.
Worst karma ever.
Hey, it's Russian. What can I say? It came out of a gray recording booth.
Larage. I don't want to make this a show about shows, but now that you mentioned it, because you mentioned it earlier and I didn't chime in about her being in that little booth. It just sounded like she's in a crappy booth. Does anybody find it annoying when you watch TV news? You know what these booths are? They have these, not every studio has them, but most of them do. When you're doing a package, you go into this little, it's like a phone booth, and it's got a mic in it. Typically of the mic, it's got dead sound, completely dead sound, and you talk into the mic, you do voiceovers or whatever you do.
And the booth has holes drilled into the paneling.
Oh, so you don't die in there.
It's the old school.
It's the only reason it's like you're a hamster in a cardboard
just
box.
Need a wheel, yeah.
So when you would listen to the reports on television, and I'm talking network, you hear the guy with a crispy voice, and then as he goes into his package, the voice changes to yeah. And every time I hear this, I say,
Tommy Almost reporting for ABC News.
Last night here on ABC News.
That's kind of the difference, yeah.
What is the deal that people would say, and I sound like Joe Biden, what is the deal? That people think this transition from one noisy sound, kind of an open mic, full room sound, to a closed soundproof booth, how is that professional? And they all do it.
What's interesting is when at MTV we did many packages for the Week in Rock, and which was a weekly show. I really enjoyed doing it early on. Of course, they kicked everybody off because they had a news department, and Kurt Loder came in. And but we would do the voiceovers right after, or before a show, depending on what it was. We probably usually do right after we had recorded. We do a voiceover in the studio with the lav mic sitting in the same spot for the packages they were going to put together later, because then you'd have the same audio. Of course, the problem is it's much more expensive to keep the whole studio running just for these voiceovers, but man, does it make a difference.
Well, congratulations. I think that's exactly what you have to do.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't think I deserve any kudos for it, but that is,
well,
I'm just giving some technical background. It's all going to be in the book.
Onward. Juraj Koljak. I don't know. He's
Juraj Koljak.
CZ is Czech Republic.
He's Kojak.
Now, by the way, I got called out for saying Czechoslovakia.
Ooh, Czech Republic.
Czech Republic.
Ooh, yeah. Who were you, Putin? All roads lead to Putin once again.
No jingles, no jingles. Joke karma. I don't know what is this.
No jingles, just jobs karma. NJJJK. No jingles, just. It even says it there in English.
I'm thinking in Czech.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
John Patrick in Decatur, Illinois, $225. He says, much respect. Go podcasting.
Right on. That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Well, thank you. What a great list of donors today. No one's really asking for anything. They're just saying nice things, except you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Ann Spillers is in the same group, except she sent an email. $201. And Ann, she's the email that I was trying to get to earlier.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to play the.
No, I don't have to look. It's already found it. I have it already posted. I did my job.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you got a pen?
Brother, you did your job, except you okay, throw me under the bus. All right, got my pen.
This donation makes me a dame.
Oh, but this is more than just a pencil. I got to get the spreadsheet out. Okay, let's go. So, Ann Spillers, this is fantastic. So we do
Ann
have...
Spillers is a dame. This is a dame. This is our dame drive.
And yes, I understand, but it's completely unexpected because you were hoarding the note. Yes.
Yes, I was. I was hoarding the note. That's exactly right.
And
I'd like to be known as Dame Ann of Grey Rock.
Okay.
ANNE.
And of Dame Anne of Grey Rock, you said?
Of Grey Rock, yeah.
GREY or AY?
AY.
Grey Rock. One word?
Yeah.
Grey Rock. Nice.
With a K. You can continue this gag for as long as you want. OCK?
Okay.
I'm just kidding. The last few shows have been fantastic. Thanks for the amazing deconstruction. My 7-year-old daughter, who must have appreciated Adam's earlier F-bomb, and I love you both. My husband, not as much.
Surprise, surprise.
But this is good. But our daughter is desperately trying to convert him.
Wow. Conversion therapy, no agenda style.
Yeah, upwards from the bottom up.
Nice.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to introduce her to critical thinking. She's going to be a terror, by the way. A 7-year-old that gets the no agenda way of looking at things.
Will be president.
She's going to definitely rule the roost at school.
Destined for greatness. Stay in touch.
The teacher's
Stay in touch. What's her name? Do we have a name for the 7-year-old?
She never mentions her name.
Okay.
Can I get a health karma for her since she recently diagnosed with juvenile arthritis?
Oh, crap.
Yes, kids can get arthritis too, and it stinks. Also, a Reverend Al dealer's choice. China is asshole, and that's true. Keep up the great work, Anne.
Okay, so we'll do, and that's true. And does she not have anything for the round table was my question.
Nope.
Oh, that's too bad. Okay.
Well, I don't know why you'd encourage that. The round table's loaded with stuff.
Yeah, but, well, I mean, okay, she'll be happy with Rent Boys and Chardonnay, I guess.
No, there's a female version for that.
No, that is the female version.
Oh. Oh, yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it.
RESPICT. China is asshole.
That's true. You've got karma.
Oh, nice. Very, very nice. We do our Dame Drive continues. This is very encouraging.
I want to see a Dame a show.
A Dame a show. Oh man, yes.
It's doable.
Yep. Where's my here it is. We need the Dame Drive donation jingle. That's what we need here.
There is nothing like a Dame. Nothing. Donation will claim. There is anything like a Dame.
See, showing our true Broadway roots. John and I, of course, come from the theater. Decades spent in the theater.
I came from the theater a couple nights ago.
And I was there just last night. Well, thank you very much, Anne.
Wait, we got one more. Oh, I'm sorry, you did the thing in her.
Yeah, I was going to say thank you very much, Anne. Really look forward to having you by yourself up here on the podium. And thank you for teaching your daughter the right way.
Yeah. And finally, last on our list, within the same theme of the entire list, Sir Joe comes in with $200, parts unknown, and he says, no jingles, no karma. NJNK, we're done.
Fantastic. Thank you to our executive producers and our associate executive producers. These are credits that are real, just like any other credit in show business. Of course, we don't have the hookers and all that stuff for you. But as an executive producer, you do get to laud this credit over others. They are valuable everywhere they're recognized, so feel free to put that on your resume, put it on your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place where everybody gets hired these days. It's none of these job listings. It's all about LinkedIn. It's an incredible ripoff for people who are advertising jobs on it. But they can also, like John does, you have the premium account and you can go search for people.
I pulled my premium account.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to pay that money. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I download for backup my contact list, my followers.
Oh, yeah, you did say this. Yeah,
and they stopped giving me the email addresses.
You're breaking up with big tech, and I'm proud of you, John. That's very good. Now, for those of you who still have regular jobs, you probably will see that you're being recruited on LinkedIn. So when someone looks for an executive producer, do you know how many people look for executive producers? A lot. So make sure you put that on your LinkedIn profile. And we'll be thanking more people who came in $50 and above in the second segment. We have a Daming coming up in our Dame Drive. And for anybody else who would like to consider supporting this program as a producer of the No Agenda podcast, you can do that by going to
Dvorak.org/NA.
I think we have definitely earned our spurs for today. You know what? Go out there, propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave!
Shut up. Wow. I got a new one.
Wow.
I guess
Which little girl was that?
Well, the Seed Man, of course, has been hearing
Shut up, slave!
for years, because he listens to our show, obviously. And I guess that...
Shut up, slave!
I guess something stuck.
God.
It's kind of harsh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. OTG, I'm an OTG. Tell me about it, babe. I'm an OTG kind of guy.
OTG going OTG.
Yes, off the grid for a moment here with the No Agenda show. Off the grid, where we break up with big tech, and we're happy about it. Very happy. I do have a couple of stories that were sent in, a couple things to mention, and a review. Do you recall on the previous show we were talking about the manager of devices at Google saying, yeah, you should probably disclose to guests that come over if you're using a Google speaker or Amazon Alexa. You should probably disclose to them that these systems are listening all the time.
Yeah, because they didn't sign the document, the EULA.
Right. And do you remember what we made a recommendation of how you could shame people into not having these devices?
Yeah, it was extreme, but it was a good idea.
So Brad,
you may want to repeat it.
Producer Brad reports, Adam, the butt porn search worked. That was my suggestion. Say, hey, Google, search for butt porn. And Brad writes in, Adam, no freaking joke, man. You just made my phone look up butt porn. I was playing you through a Bluetooth speaker and you Googled my phone into looking it up. I couldn't believe it worked. So after 15 minutes of browsing butt porn, I decided to email you. So it does work. Excellent. Thank you very much, Brad, for that report. Corrections came in. This is from a dude named Ben. Adam, Thursday's discussion of uBlock Origin being banned from the Chrome store was premature. This is the very often I've used it. This is a very popular ad blocker. Ad blocking is an issue. It breaks Google's advertising model. Chrome is a Google product. It was only the development build, apparently, that was rejected by the automated submission system. It was never removed from the store. I don't think I said it was removed from the store, so it was blocked. Just one beta build that was automatically rejected for unknown reasons, but the issue has since been resolved. Okay. But I think in our future, ad blockers have limited prospects. And then with regards to Safari's fraudulent website warning, this was also FUD, he says, which means we probably fell for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The issue now, what I reported on this is that the Safari browser looks, and if it hits a URL that is on the fraudulent website list, which is the problem, quite honestly, that's the problem.
Yeah.
It then was reporting this to China's Tencent and to Google. So he goes on and says, with regards to Safari's fraudulent website warning, URLs are only sent to Tencent if your region is set to China. Okay. Google's safe browsing list is used in the rest of the world. I don't know why people are losing their shit over this, though. Oh, let me tell you why I'm losing my shit over it, because we're on that list. That list gets propagated to firewalls, to corporate firewall. We are blocked in so many places because of effing lists. Yeah, I have a real problem with people doing that. I have a real problem with a central...
I have a problem with people who don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, and he's a dude named Ben, so, I'm going
you think
easy
you know
on
Ben.
him. But it is a very big problem. Lists of fraudulent websites is very subjective. And can you get off of these websites? No. These lists? No, you can't get off the list. Who do you contact? There's no way to get off the list. You're on the list. You're on the list forever. I can never, ever do anything advertising based with Google. I got banned years ago, and it's impossible. Never, not that I want it, but it's actually part of the reason we're doing this is because I saw this happen. Like, okay, fine. It was 2010, I think, or 2009. And they rejected me. Forever. Lifetime ban. Now, let's talk a little bit about, and this is probably my favorite story, why you need to break up with big tech. Yahoo Groups is shutting down on October 28th.
What?
Yes. They will be.
Wait, hold on a second.
Yep.
Yahoo Groups, one of the first.
Yeah. 2001 they started Yahoo Groups.
I'm surprised it's that late, but they've had these groups, and people have, even though over the years they've been banning people, they've been actually active about them. They kind of backed off; they didn't care. But many sewing clubs,
how about ham radio guys, every different variety,
car clubs, Chevy owners, any sort of group.
Dogs are people too lovers. Yeah, everything's there. And I think it is mainly because they can't figure out how to make money off of it. I don't know how much it costs to keep this running.
Putting an ad up.
But you can't make money on this stupid stuff. There's no money to be made.
When's the last time? Okay, I agree with that.
Okay, thank you.
But you can pretend you're making money by doing something other than absolutely nothing. No. Yeah, you can't make money if you don't do anything.
This is, Verizon
it's
owns
like
it
us
now.
Bitching about, how how much money we get from advertising? We don't get any money from advertising, so we're shutting down the podcast. Well, you never had an ad. Yeah, well, there's that. I mean, come on.
Well, the point is that, and so now there are a number of people, including a number of outfits, including groups.io, who say, yeah, you can port your stuff over. And the sheep are going, oh, that's a good idea. I'll take it from this silo to that silo. Morons. Yeah, that is so stupid. You can set up your
voice,
own.
By the way,
it was. I love you, boy. Yeah, it is a new voice.
It's a little offshoot of Freddie the Fireman.
Freddie. Yeah, it's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
But please think for a second, people. Don't take it from one and throw it into the next. And anything.
Do your own.
Yes,
WordPress.com is free.
Learn how to set up don't even go to free. Set up your own server. Learn how to import some data and to set up a chat group.
I'm not expecting the knitting club to do that.
Why not? What kind of knitting people aren't stupid?
They don't want to do it.
That's really degrading. I have no idea why you said that. Knitting today involves a lot of computer work. There are patterns. It's all this stuff that involves computers. And you're just an old white dude, man. That's patriarchy talking right there.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
modern love.
Verizon is getting out of the game. HuffPo is up for sale. I'm sure you can get it for $1 for the domain name. It's it all goes away. What you're seeing now with Facebook and Twitter, it all goes away. It may take another decade. It all goes away.
What's annoying to me is that they sell it as though it's going to be here forever. Oh, yeah. And I know what the old thinking was at Yahoo. It was, we can set up these groups and that keep people in the Yahoo family. They'll be on the site.
Yeah.
We can then get them to go over to our news, and we can get them to do this. We can get them to do that because they're on the site. So these groups are great. They don't cost us a lot of money, and they don't because there's not much going on. It's not like just breaking the bank.
Right.
Running, a small group, but and it was all this, pie in the sky, and then of course now they're owned by AT&T or whoever owns Yahoo. I can't remember.
No, Verizon.
Jerk offs. These phone companies I don't get it.
Hey man, we have the network and the content, man. It's the dream. Don't you? That's what they bought it.
Time code.
I'm right now. That's truly what it was. That was the AOL dream. That was it.
Yeah.
And we'll send people CDs, discs. It'll work. It'd be great. Floppies. Now for the pièce de résistance. Producer Mike, true to his word.
The longest OTG segment historically.
No,
Somebody get a time code on this.
Producer Mike sent me, as he promised, through to the P.O. Box 18209, Austin, Texas 78760, a Pixel 3, completely flashed and loaded with Graphene OS, Graphene OS. Graphene OS, which is the developer of Copperhead OS, got in some tiff with the company that he was trying to set up, and anyway, he left and he created his own version of this. And this is the one that will change your network card's MAC address randomly. So there's all these different tricks that will certainly circumvent spying from big tech. But it's really much more of a complete open source, no Google touching it at all. I think it's called ASOP. So it's really the original operating system and then tweaked so that the apps can't talk to each other under the hood. You can set every single permission manually on every single app. All of them are off pretty much by default, but you can say, no, you can't access motion sensors. And they have the F-Droid App Store, which is all open source free software. And so it has email, it has a stripped down version of Chrome, which has removed all the googly stuff. It had a number of VPN type firewalls, very much like the Pi-hole that we've talked about, where you can download a block list, and these URLs will never even really come into your machine. You'll never actually go and access them. It looks like shit, of course, because there's no prettiness to it. It's just functionality. There's a podcast app in there, and I was able to install a couple other things. And I thought that this would be the ultimate breakup with big tech phone, very much like we have, the Purism phone, the Librem 5, I think, and there's a number of these, pure plays that are out there. And I was very excited to try this. Like, okay, finally, this is it, because I'm still using the cloaked iPhone 5, which is pretty good against tracking. It's certainly not not bulletproof for someone to try and get into my phone, but there's really not much there because I don't store credit cards and all that stuff. And I have to say, it's unusable for me. It's too good. I cannot use this because here's what happened to me. This thing is so fast that I was finding myself just grabbing the phone. Let me just check email for a second. Or, I can just look at Twitter. I can just check that real quick in the browser. Exactly the opposite of what I want. I need a piece of crap phone that deters me from doing this. It has to be so much effort to do any kind of function except take a call, send and receive text messages, and once in a while, like if you're out shopping and your podcast partner says, could you please review the newsletter? It'll take me 5 or 6 minutes to get the email, find it, the email queue to download, then open it up in something that actually will open Word that isn't Word, and then review it and painfully copy paste and put something back to you. So as much as I really enjoy what they're doing with this, it does not, and I slip right into it, John. I slip right back into the addiction. I felt it coming fast and hard. Like you take that one toke of the cigarette, like, it's okay, I can do it. I know I can do it. I can just have that one. No. You need to have shit OS. It has to be the worst in the world. Otherwise, if you don't, and I just don't have that much willpower, it becomes too easy.
It's usually a puff you take of a cigarette.
What did I say?
Toke.
Ooh, sorry. Old habits break hard.
Well, let's stop and think about this. You don't want... So in other words, this off-the-grid thing is not about solely just being off the grid, because the fixed... And then let me back up one further step. It doesn't have to look like shit. It doesn't have to look terrible or crummy, because there are artists out there, and there are that are tech savvy.
You mean you're talking? Well, it doesn't.
Paul Couture is who does the site.
But what's your point? What's your point? I said the graphene OS. It didn't matter that it looked like crap.
No, I'm just saying it, but it doesn't have to look crappy. There's just
no, and the iPhone
effort or care.
The iPhone 5 looks good.
Okay, forget I even said that.
Yeah, I will.
Let's get back to the point I'm trying to make, which is that you don't want to be off the grid. You don't like these to be stuck thinking or using these products seamlessly, so because you get addicted to them.
Let me explain.
And you don't want that either. So it's not just being off the grid.
No, OTG is a misnomer, of course. If it was truly off the grid, it would have no radios and wouldn't communicate with anything. It's on the grid. It's about making me an extension of the grid. I don't want to be continuously connected. This is why I laugh at people who walk around with their phones while they're driving, while they're talking, while they're eating, while they're people making love, pick up their phones. You need to remove that from your life. That is the damaging thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I almost got, I would say I almost got killed. No, I almost killed somebody. Luckily, when I drive, I hate telling these stories.
Your stories are great.
I used to work for the air pollution district. We had to drive all the time, all day and all night. So you get really good at left foot braking. And so I drive that way. Normally when I'm in the city or anywhere around, I'm always left foot braking don't do that. They always tell you that.
That's incredibly dangerous.
It's not. How is it dangerous?
Well, tell me about how you almost killed somebody.
Some dummy, some girl's making a left turn while on her phone.
Uh-huh.
And I saw this coming a mile away, so I slowed down. I kind of, and then and she turned right in front of me on a main thing, right in front of me. I was like 3 feet away. Luckily, because I'm left foot braking, I could stop in time and lay on the horn.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody in the vicinity could see what was going on. She was pulling right in front of me because she was paying no attention to that turn. She's making a left turn in front of me. And I was thinking about it afterwards, because I just don't do this, but I thought, I could have gotten some body work done.
Wait, here's how I imagine you in whatever you're driving. Oh, she's making a left-hand turn. And that's your horn, right?
Pretty much. And but I didn't hit her, but it would have been obvious what would happen, and she probably was texting or something while turning.
Mm-hmm.
These people are nuts.
So what's your point? You're breaking it down, and you've told this story.
I'm just the reason I've told the story is because you said you don't like people walking around looking at their phone like zombies. They're driving like that.
Okay, it's not just a public safety issue. It's a sanity issue. I already see in the troll room people say, well, I just turn off notifications. No, it's this is what happens. Every waking moment that there is a downtime second in human interaction, people whip out their phones. Oh boy, we're waiting for the waiter to come. Let's look at our phones. I'm at the stoplight. Let's look at my phone. It's a commercial break. Let's look at my phone. That's the sickness. And you need to remove it from your life. You still have to be connected. It's important to be connected in a connected world, but without incredible willpower, you become a zombie through just the draw that the information has. You have to put up blocks. And the only way, and so I guess that's the point of my story is, it does not matter what the operating system is. If it functions well, it's bad for me. This is my personal experience. It has to be really shit. And the shit OS is what I call it. At the same time, I was also, compared to the iPhone 5, which is just this beautiful format, nice and small. It has no cover on it. I've dropped it on the ground. It doesn't shatter right away. At least it hasn't on me yet. I have chipped a corner off of it, but the glass didn't break. And it only does it keeps me in touch with people through text message, phone call, voicemail. And if I need to, I can get an email. I can send an email, but I can't even do my typical show prep stuff on it. So if someone sends me an email, check this link out, to click on that link before Safari has gotten there, it takes so long that it's not worth it. And that's what that to me is OTG.
Okay.
And it's for your sanity. Now you're lucky. You already have inherent ability to leave this thing in the drawer. I mean, I also know I don't text you. There's no reason to text you. You'll never read the text except twice a week.
I do some texting. I do it on the computer using Google Voice.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
So I type on it, and it's only when I have voice.google.com open. And I only do that I only routinely do it twice a week because I do it when I send the newsletters ready. That's not coming from my phone. That's coming. I just finished the newsletter and I just mailed it to you. And then I just go to another tab on my browser and I type that into the Google Voice as a text message and you get it. It looks like a text message from a phone, but it's not. It's bullcrap. I rarely text from my phone. I will receive text once in a while, and I text if I didn't pay the bill or something, or they didn't charge me right, and I go back and forth. But it generally ends up with a phone call. But I don't like to have the phone with me all the time. I just don't. I don't like I don't like the idea of it being on in my pocket. Because every time it's because I have it put it on by the computer once in a while, it's buzzing and zzz, and the noise is good. It's electrifying my balls. I don't need this Ray RF down there. I don't like it on my ear. I don't like the RF against my head. I just don't like it. Or then you put it in your pocket, your shirt pocket, which it should fit into.
Yeah, to electrify your heart.
Because it's always these signals or it's doing signaling that's way above and beyond what it should be doing.
Now, all of this being said, I was very impressed with the open source mapping and driving application called Here, HERE. Incredibly useful. I mean, it even had some. I think it had some traffic data that it was getting, but it was not. It's not your big Silicon Valley, big tech type of operations.
Does it do turn by turn?
Yeah, it does turn by turn and a moving map and the whole thing, and different voices. Very impressive.
Really?
I mean, all of this stuff works. My problem was the browser.
Yeah, no, I get what your problem is, but I'm kind of interested in that part of it.
You would love this. I don't know.
Borrow it from you. Whatever.
We're not going to borrow anything because when it goes to your place, it's in the black hole.
You down with OTG? You down with OTG? You down with OTG? Adam's OTG. You down with OTG?
So there you go, OTG. Break up with big tech. Beware of your sanity. And I should probably register that. Hold on a second. Can you just let me check. I can probably do this.
OTG sanity?
No. I was going to do.
Somebody's doing it right now. They're trying to beat you.
No. No one can beat me on this. I don't think anyone has this. Hold on. I'm not going to say it until it's.
Until it's done.
Ah, damn it.
Somebody's got it.
Shit OS. Someone already has it. That's too bad. shitos.com.
We have a 7-year-old listening. Hey. Now, just as a kind of a fun clip.
Okay.
You've heard of the bonus clip I sent. I want to play. Now this came from one of our. We both know this woman. She's a famous broadcaster, and I would leave her name out of it. But I got this morning. I just thought it was hilarious. Let's just play this clip.
I don't know. I'm no climate change expert. I am a climate change survivor.
This is the mayor of Puerto Rico, of the main town of San Juan, Puerto Rico. She's a climate survivor, climate change survivor.
I heard that. Yes. Because of the hurricane?
You can be a Holocaust survivor and
it makes
cancer survivor.
Yes, if you can be a climate change denier, then someone needs to be a survivor, like a Holocaust survivor. Very good, yeah.
Yeah, that's the connection, exactly.
Wow. Well, there were some protests going on at the Capitol, which no one heard about, and 2 very famous actors were arrested. which no one heard about.
Well, well, we're going to hear about it now.
What do we want? A Green New Deal. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? A Green New Deal. When do we want it? Now.
And so this is the what do we want? A Green New Deal. When do we want it? Now. The most uninspired chant in the effing universe.
Yes.
As Jane Fonda and Sam Waters got arrested.
A Green New Deal. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? A Green New Deal. When do we want it?
And now Jane gets arrested.
Yay! Go, Jane!
Woo! Arrested! All right. She's showing her handcuffs to the camera. I'm Jane Fonda! I'm getting arrested! And here comes Sam Waters. Waterston.
Everybody congratulate Sam on his first arrest!
Yeah! Woo! How pathetic is it that people are getting arrested and there's cheers for it? The cops are standing there going, really? I got to clap this 85-year-old in handcuffs? Okay. All right, if that's what... It's just a waste of time. It made zero news coverage. No one cares. But Jane Fonda's face looks dynamite. I mean, Nancy Pelosi should go talk to her. Oh, my goodness.
And she has work done by the best.
And she had the beret on, and she looked perfect. Sam Waterston, I guess they're both on the show, Frankie and Grace, or Grace and Frankie, which I like that show. I'm sure it's racist and dumb. I'm sure that you hate it. I like the show. But it's
just because I said that other show is racist doesn't mean I think everything is racist.
You think this show is pathetic because it makes old actors play gay people. I know that's what you're thinking.
I don't. I saw the show when it first came out. I thought it was well done, well shot, well produced. I thought it was a little slow moving and boring, so I stopped watching it. I maybe saw 2. It's a very boring show. It's got nothing to do with racism.
Right. No, I didn't say that. There's no black people in the show. Oh, yeah, there is one black person. Token blacks. He's racist. But I just find it very sad that these actors, and they were holding Green New Deal signs professionally printed.
All printed.
Yes. Yeah. Jane and Sam.
It costs money. You can't make paint without fossil fuel.
No, you can't.
Can't.
It's just the whole thing. It's like, it felt just sad. Sad.
So on the topic of celebrities.
Oh, I was going to do one more climate change.
Oh, okay. Do one more, then I want to get back to celebrities.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't we get back to celebrities when we can be doing climate change? Just for everyone who really wants the U.S. to stay at war, this is something you could use around the water cooler if someone says, just to see if you could fry someone's brain. Like, man, we gotta stay. We gotta protect the Kurds, man. We gotta protect the Kurds.
2 major studies published in June remained buried by most major media outlets. The first, Pentagon Fuel Use, Climate Change, and the Costs of War, by Brown University's Costs of War Project, confirmed previous findings that the U.S. military is the single largest producer of greenhouse gases in the world, and that the Pentagon is responsible for between 77 and 80% of all U.S. government energy consumption since 2001. The second study, Hidden Carbon Costs of the Everywhere War, Logistics, Geopolitical Ecology, and the Carbon Bootprint of the U.S. Military, published in Transactions of the Institute of British Geographers, found that if the U.S. military were a country, its fuel usage alone would make it the 47th largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world, between Peru and Portugal. But these groundbreaking studies received no coverage in virtually all of the U.S.'s biggest papers and TV news channels.
Well, duh. I like that. Carbon bootprint.
Oh, is that what she said?
Someone in the troll room said it. I don't know.
Oh, somebody said carbon bootprint. That's great.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to give you a borderline clip for that. That was a nice clip.
Thank you. It's from the show Counterspin, and producer sent it to me. I don't remember who sent it to me. but it is, of course, appreciated.
So I just have, this is a clip that really has nothing to do with anything that's a thematic topic for today, but I just thought it was interesting because it refers to the movie that's getting more publicity, this Joker movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which I haven't seen.
I've not seen it either. No.
I'll probably see it when it comes out on pay-per-view. But
hello,
I don't want to get shot in the theater.
Hello, pay-per-view. You mean like Amazon or Netflix? I don't think pay-per-view is really a thing anymore.
It's just still a thing. But it's it's a controversial film. But so this guy that comes on and does these editorials, well, you've seen it before. He's got this very stilted way of speaking and a giant mole named Mr. Reagan or Mr. Reagan. And he's a podcaster, and you've seen him. And he made this little aside. He went off. He was doing a review of the movie, which he thinks is a work of genius right-wing art.
Of course, yes.
And he did this little aside that I thought was just, whether it's true or not, I'm not sure, but I can kind of believe it might be true, and it's very disgusting.
With this film, they were trying to say, this is what happens when the wealthy and powerful neglect the common people. This is what you get. And I discussed this film yesterday with a very talented, successful director out here in Los Angeles. He's a closeted conservative. He can't expose his political views to anyone without being blacklisted. But he happens to be a fan of this channel, so we've become friends. The other day, he was told by his agent that he wasn't going to be getting much work in the near future because he's a straight white male. The agent suggested, very seriously, that this director come out as trans, or at least gender non-binary. This, the agent told him, would make him eligible to get more jobs as a director. That is not a joke.
I believe it.
I believe it too.
I believe it. In fact, I have just to give you an idea, under the SJW heading, this is a promo for the Spotify, the music company. Now, you have to, I wish I could kind of, I can't really show you this, but the people speaking are all white. They're all trans except for the one Asian American girl, millennial, who I guess is in charge of human resources. They're in a beautiful glass building overlooking San Francisco, in their office with a barista, sipping cappuccino while they're discussing this.
At Spotify, everyone just trusts each other and has this culture of it's okay to ask questions even if they might be difficult questions.
Pronouns are kind of a tricky subject for me in that I keep going back and forth about kind of what to use where.
Well, I spent about 30 years or so in the closet because my previous employers didn't have any particular tolerance for transgender people.
At Spotify, we have employee resource groups, and Spectrum is our LGBTQ plus employee resource group.
At Spotify, having a diverse workforce and being inclusive is important so everyone can feel like themselves at work.
So what we did is to come up with a list of essentially every medical procedure that trans people might need.
Basically, Spotify said, oh, we didn't realize there was a problem there. We'll fix it. And that was pretty amazing.
As of 2019, we now offer masculinization and feminization treatments recommended by the World Professional Association for Transgender Health.
It's not a question of vanity. You know, for someone who needs these things, it's really a question of being able to be perceived, you know, as themselves.
At Spotify, everyone's part of Spotify. Everyone's a member of the band, and everyone is determined to help everyone else who needs it.
My advice is don't be afraid. There's nothing wrong with knowing who you are and where you stand.
Part of what I'm doing here is trying to be visible so people who are like me know that they're not alone.
Now, as we were talking earlier, John, about the entertainment business, and I consider this to be an entertainment company, the first down quarter this publicly listed company has, gone are your feminization treatments, okay? That's the first thing they're going to cut. I'm telling you.
That's new on the list, by the way.
But this virtue, and the thing that struck me was it was all white people. Trans this, trans that. Oh,
all virtue signaling. Yeah.
Oh, and they're drinking cappuccinos in their glass offices overlooking San Francisco. It couldn't get more elitist.
Well, now that's elitist. I took the thing. There's a subtle message in there. I think it's elitist gay. Because
that's a Silicon Valley thing, probably then.
So I think it's an elite. I think it's a gay company.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because of the code word that was in there, which was for all members of the band.
Yeah.
And there was a movie called Boys in the Band, which was one of the first movies about
gay movie,
but the gays.
Mm-hmm.
And
the gays.
It seemed to me to be code. So these are a bunch of elitist gays that are just virtue signaling, and it's like you're right. It's all bull crap.
Totally, and it's all going away with your first down quarter, or you know when you lose the lawsuit and you have to pay $80 billion in back royalties. This is the first thing that's going to go. Hey, give me your feminization back. Spotify. Yeah.
I can't believe. Why would they put it? This is really. I really hate virtue signalers like this.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear it.
Yeah, you want to do all that stuff, just do it. Why do you have to brag about it? I mean, the old thing was like if you're a very generous person, a philanthropist, many of them to this day, they don't go bragging about it. Oh,
in fact,
I'm not spending all this money on things.
It's not philanthropy if you talk about it. That's the way I see it.
Just do it. You either do it or you don't. You don't do it and then brag about it.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm so great. Exactly.
So
we should do. We should take a break right here. We've had too much.
Take a break?
Yeah, we've been talking too long, man.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have a few people to thank, as a matter of fact, including Charles McAdams, who. What is this? Hang on. I don't know why I got this on here. Anyway, Charles McAdams in Chicago, $140.99. He has a note. I have to read some of it because he has a bunch of douchebag call-outs.
Oh, okay. All right.
So get ready by the button.
Yes, button is handy and ready.
He's got the shout out for T. McAdams. Okay. Well, first of all, he needs a de-douching for T. McAdams.
You've been de-douched.
Somebody. Then he needs a calling out for T. Mertzluft. T. Mertzluft as douchebag.
I'm sorry. I don't know where to do this. You're not helping.
You did it. It's good enough.
All right. That's it?
All right. Yeah.
I thought there was a whole bunch you said.
I thought it was too until I looked at the list.
Okey-doke.
Charles and me. Okay, that is in Chicago. Gary Alexander in Dubai came in with $133.33. Dame Gina, $123.45 in Providence, Texas.
And she needs a jobs karma for a smoking hot hubby. It'll be at the end. You bet, Dame Gina.
Robert Dawson
Can I just say something? You're really smacking. You're smacking your lips a lot today. Yeah.
Thank you.
A lot of that.
Thank you for that.
All right.
I'm going to just do that instead. Robert Dawson in Tainan City in Taiwan. He's got a bunch of requests there.
China's asshole.
Okay. Good enough. Sir Ronan, Sir Greg, the Ronan, Sir Greg Porter, N7 FSN 73s, $118.90.
Yes, and a reminder for the NAMs, No Agenda Hams, we have a network that we're building. It's our all-star network. It is, if you know how that works, it's node 50450, or you can go to k5acc.com and find out more to join the network. It's a lot of fun, a lot of hams. Just like it's a hangout for hams, for No Agenda Hams. And it's fun. And maybe one day you'll hear John on there.
Matthew Januszewski's next on the list. $112.
The only guy who said happy anniversary.
And he says happy anniversary.
Because isn't this our anniversary week?
It's anniversary week. Our anniversary is on the 26th of October, technically next Saturday.
So the big show is next Sunday then?
Yeah, the big shoe. The big shoe.
The big shoe. And the big 12th anniversary shoe. Wow.
Yeah, 12th anniversary shoe.
All right, 12 years.
Sir Chris.
And we never had a fight. It's amazing.
Sir Chris Gray of the Isle of Wight, 8888. Need to support you guys. The shows just keep getting better.
Thank you.
Sir William Wallace, Knight of the Palmetto State, which is South Carolina, Spartansburg, 8008. He found it. He and one other guy found the Easter egg.
Oh, I didn't even know there was one.
Yep.
It was a boob.
It was the boob donation for the cat trying to run up the...
That's what it was?
The slide.
Okay. I should have known.
David Dickman in East Northport, New York, is the other one who found it at 8008. Jason Hartung, $75. Thank you for your courage. Sir Rick in Arlington, Washington, comes in maybe twice a month, $69.96. Sir Kevin McLaughlin, Earl of Luna, $69.69. Anonymous, $66.11. Sir Davey, $62.43.
He says, congratulations. Yeah, 12 years of deconstruction and entertainment. Infosanement is what we call it.
Bob Osagueda, who's an artist, by the way, living, I believe, in Connecticut, but he sent his money in 6006 small boobs through something called People Pay. I sent him a note about this because it showed up in the bank account. And I usually see Pop Money, and I've seen some Zelle, even though the bank says they don't take Zelle. I've seen it. But Pop Money's always worked the best for direct deposits without going through the old SWIFT system, which costs an arm and a leg to do. But these new systems are cheaper. And this one I've never heard of is called People Pay. And there's a bunch of banks in Vermont that use it. And this came through a Vermont bank. I don't know anything about it. I sent Bob a note, and he never responded. I don't know if he got the note or got lost in the mail. Not sure. But he probably thought I was trying to hit him up for a free print. Me? Sir Paul from Twickenham in Twickenham, Middlesex, UK. 5678. He has a call out to Henry Walkley as a douchebag. Hit him in the mouth about a year ago, and he's yet to donate.
I hate it when that happens.
Angela Meyer in Round Rock, Texas, 5555. I think she needs a de-douching.
Oh, well, we can give her that.
You've been de-douched.
Oh, and this is the
note. You should read it.
Well, the Dame Drive is working in all kinds of ways. Sorry it took so long for me to donate. I absolutely love you guys. I finally hit my husband in the mouth with the show. You make me not want to kill myself on my daily I-35 commute from Round Rock to Riverside. I hear you. I hear you. Thank you very much, Angela. Thanks for the mouth hitting, too. And hello to your hubby. Welcome. Welcome, citizen.
The show that makes you not want to kill yourself.
Talk about infosanement.
Whoa. I have to write that down. Infosanement. Man, right off the top of your head, you did that.
Well, I said it 3 times earlier, but this is the first time you heard it.
Well, hey, third time's a charm.
It's what it is.
Michael Myers in Madisonville, Louisiana, 5510, double nickels on the dime. Also, Dean Roker, double nickels on the dime. Sir Brian Tobiason in Gardner, Kansas, 5388. He wants us to go for another 12 years. And here we are with the No Agenda Show. Adam, wake up. Thomas Miller, 5151. Sir Dem, 5150. Because you're crazy not to donate. That's what he says. Todd Troutman in Austin, Texas, 5120. Sir Doug Dodge, 51. Susie Brown. Susie, also known as Sonia Bosenberg, I guess. 51. Matthew Grice, 5050.
Sorry.
It turns out that $50 is exactly $73 Australian.
No.
Yes. Ham, 73. Demat, VK3, FNG. So it's 73.
73s, K5ACC.
50s.
50s?
Instead of 73. $50 US is 73 Australian.
Oh, okay. We can try it. I don't know if it'll catch.
50s.
Hey, 50s to you. What?
Come
back there, K5ACC. What'd you say?
Clifford Muchler, 5038. Could be Muchler. Robert Stotts in San Diego, California, 5005. Brian Mosler, Duncan, Oklahoma.
It's
W5 BRM 73.
Hold on,
Keep up the fantastic work.
It's Mosier, not Mosler. It's Mosier, and Brian is a truck driver, and he's W5 BRM. He is on the NAMS network all the time. He's in his truck. He's got a portable node. He's got the whole thing rigged up, and great guy. So
nice.
Yeah, K5ACC.com.
We love our truckers.
Yes, especially in Austin. If the truckers stopped, we'd be very hungry in about 48 hours.
Brad Taylor, I buy bags of rice. Brad Taylor, Duval, Washington, 50. These are all $50 donors, name and location, starting with Brad. Then Scott Lavender in Montgomery, Texas. David Timmons in Oklahoma City, OK. George Wuchet in Universal City, Texas. A lot of Texans today. Andrew Gusick in Greensboro, North Carolina. And then another North Carolinian with Robert Case in Mill Springs, North Carolina. Thomas Tollett in Shawnee, Oklahoma. And last, we find Jerry Wingenroth in Saugus, California. And Daniel Galloway in Marietta, Georgia. $50. I want to thank all these folks for contributing to show 1183 and making it possible.
Yes, in our 12th year, almost, and we are going to be celebrating that on, the 26th of October is our official 12th anniversary. We'll have a big celebration on the 27th, I guess, on the Sunday, the 27th show. Thank you to everybody who came in under the $50 cutoff, which we do for reasons of infosanement, but also for anonymity, anonymity. People want to be anonymous, and they can do it that way. It's guaranteed because we'll never read below the 50. But as I said at the beginning of the show in our first segment, thank you, everybody who's a sustaining donor. It does mean a lot, and it's highly appreciated. We have a couple of these requests for karmas, and I want to remind you, we'll do another show on Thursday, and you're welcome to support us for that one. Go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
And I have a make good here from Sir Jake, the IT bogan, whose PayPal message got cut off during his knighting. He said, gee, could you please read it for me? Of course. So he had a donation of $100 US, $154.47 in Aussie dollary dues. This will make me a knight of the best podcast in the universe, accounting below. I'd like to be known as Sir Jake, the IT bogan, as I'm a dude named Ben, and enjoy the bogan things in life. For the round table, I'd like to request Bundy rum and a bunning sausage with onions on top. I just joined No Agenda Social, and seeing all these knights and dames posting photos of their rings made me think it was time for me to man up. Plus, it now means my old man will have to call me sir. If it's not too much, can I get a shape-shifting Jews and a goat karma? I'll do the shape-shifting Jews at the end of the show. And what I'm going to do is add your roundtable request to the roundtable for today for our daming. And thank you again for supporting the show. And sorry that PayPal messed you up there. Let's do a birthday. Yeah, it's going to be super short today because we only have one birthday on the list. Miraculously, T. McAdams turns 48 years old on October 23rd, and we say happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. And then we can do our single daming, John. The Dame Drive continues. Where's your blade?
I got it.
Nice. All right. And Spillers and Stefan up here. So happy we got your note in time and were able to introduce you to the round table of the No Agenda Knights and Dames. I am very proud to pronounce the Dame Anne of Grey Rock, Dame, and the lady of the No Agenda Round Table. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Bundy Rum, and a bunning sausage with onions on top. But maybe you'd like some harlots and haldolls, some geishas and sake, vodka and vanilla, bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pablum, beer and blunts, or how about some mutton and mead? Everybody loves it. It's a Knight and Dame favorite. Dame Ann, welcome to our No Agenda Roundtable and to the family. Thank you so much for supporting the best podcast in the universe. Go to noagendanation.com/rings and then make sure you have a No Agenda social account so you can post that and say hi to all of your fellow Roundtable members. Time for a meetup report. No Agenda. We had a number of meetups. I just wanted to mention the Santa Fe meetup attended by Sir Jeff Tuhig, a longtime supporter of the show. He says, Dame Heather of the Lost Boys hosted a great meetup in Santa Fe. Solid turnout. She brought her book on the inside secrets of the CIA just in case no one showed. But we had people come from Colorado even. Hope all is well. This has Jeff from the land of the Mars rover. And then a quick rundown of the meetups. If you haven't seen it, noagendameetups.com, which actually, did I hear, was there a note someone sent you? Maybe it was a message online that meetups.com is now charging people for attendees or some bullcrap like that.
Somebody sent it, but I have not confirmed it.
Yeah, so I'm so happy we moved away from that platform. I mean, we got our own. It's run by one of our producers, which makes it beautiful. He even has made, I believe he's made the source code available on GitHub if you want to create your own. NoAgendaMeetups.com. Here's what's going on for the 20th, which is today. We have the Michigan Local Number 1 Gunpowder Get-Together. This is the third time they're doing it. They even sent me a note. They're really sorry I can't be there. They'd love to shoot with me. I would love to shoot with you guys. That's Linden Sportsmen Club today. Douchebag Pat is hosting that tomorrow. The Mason-Dixon meetup in Louisville, Kentucky. Also today at high noon. So that's already underway upstairs at the Monarch Beer Company. On Thursday, the Nashville, Tennessee Hallow meetup. 6 o'clock at Mas Tacos, organizer Rich B. Brand new, we have this will be Friday, the No Agenda 3 Mile Island Evac Zone meetup. 6 o'clock for all the Southern Pennsylvania and B-More slaves get together at the Boomerang Bar and Grill, exit 40 on I-83. Organizer Matt Weaver. He says we can all plan what to do if something goes awry during the 50-year shutdown of 3 Mile Island. Yes, that's on deck. That's true. Also on Friday, Oregon Local 33, Portland. That's their fourth meetup at Fecklin Brewery and Smokehouse. Charlotte, North Carolina, also on Friday, 7:30, Sycamore Brewing. You okay? You okay? Hello?
What?
I don't know. You went, but it sounded like you croaked there for a moment.
No, I didn't croak.
Oh, okay. Next Saturday, this is brand new, Shanghai meetup. Shanghai. This show is global, man. 3 o'clock China.
You should go to that one.
I wish. 3 o'clock China Standard Time, whatever that is. It'll be at the Cotton Candy Bar and Restaurant, the Anting Road branch in the French concession, Shuwei District. Dr. Jones, PhD, is your host. I can't wait to see our heads on sticks at that place. Nashville, Tennessee, also on Saturday. That is the Breakfast Before Politicon 2019 get-together. Anthony is organizing that for you. The 26th Saturday as well, Colorado Springs Local 719 at the Phantom Canyon Brewing Company. Andrew Jones organizing. Then on Sunday, No Agenda Local 1 Brunch, Plymouth, Michigan, 11 in the morning. Stella's Sidetrack, formerly known as Station 885. And we're going to keep it at that for our upcoming meetups. If you want to know more about a meetup, go to noagendameetups.com. If you didn't hear something that you are interested in, then start your own. That's the beauty of it. noagendameetups.com. It's like a party! Without triggering and without a-holes. No a-holes.
No a-holes.
No a-holes.
Well, I got a couple of things I want to bring into this so we get people up to speed on stuff that no one's reporting on.
Sorry. Yes?
What was that?
It's a premature clipulation.
Well, let's play. Let's start with this. This is a short clip, but I didn't know this was going on. Tell me you knew this was going on. Riots in Lebanon.
Well, yes, in fact, that was exactly the clip I was about to... No,
today, thousands of anti-government demonstrators returned to the streets of Lebanon for a third straight day. Protesters, angry over the country's failing economy, called for a new government, waving flags and marching past storefronts that were smashed and rioting last night. Yesterday, Lebanon's prime minister gave his government a 72-hour deadline to agree on a plan to avert an economic crisis and put an end to the demonstrations. In a televised speech today, the leader of Hezbollah said the group opposes a change in government and said every citizen is responsible for the financial crisis.
See, this is very interesting. I was literally going to play a clip that related to this because I don't have audio of this report, but BBC News is reporting that this riot, this protest started because of the WhatsApp tax. Yes, the government had, listen to this, the government had announced a 20-cent daily charge on voice calls made through WhatsApp. Yeah, so it comes down to about $6 a month. And the BBC is claiming, oh, yes, the people are rioting over the WhatsApp tax. And I'm thinking, really now? Lebanon.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ah, shit, that's not what I wanted. Damn it. I wanted to play the obvious. Here's the obvious.
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Wow, I've been waiting for Lebanon to join the party. Here they are.
Thanks to WhatsApp.
And yes, thanks to Facebag and WhatsApp. For the BBC to report this, I mean, you know that this is a color revolution. It's the West that's behind it. They've been on the list since 2001. That was General Wesley Clark, who 2 weeks after 9/11 received this briefing of all these countries we were going to take out. And I've been waiting for Lebanon to show up. And there it is. Boom. The neocons at work, a new theater. And now it's, of course, because the free people deserve to have WhatsApp, man. It's just crazy. They can't go without WhatsApp.
It's never even used WhatsApp once.
But the question is, is this the Trump administration doing it? Is it douchebags in the Foreign Service?
I think it's douchebags in the Foreign Service. I think they don't pay any attention to what Trump wants.
Yes, it's the vape. Wars on the e-cigarette.
Right on cue, as we've been following the vape wars and the phony baloney propaganda, only meant to do one thing, to bring the smokeless tobacco to market without any hindrance and nullify, and dare I say, decimate the vape culture and the vape industry. To remind everybody, this is the same company that bought Juul is now going to kill Juul and is going to market only the smokeless tobacco, IQOS, and we're going to get rid of everything, and it's in collusion with Health and Human Services, in collusion with the FDA, and here is the Health and Human Services Secretary, Azar, going on CNBC, the Money Business Program, to move the needle a little bit further to get rid of a perfectly fine industry.
E-cigarettes in the news, Juul.
And mind you, they don't say vaping. Continuously, it's e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes is an e-cigarette. E-cigarette, cigarette's bad. E-cigarette, e-cigarette. Who uses the e-cigarette term in the normal world? Nobody. It's all vaping. But no, not when you're trying to get rid of it.
E-cigarettes in the news. Juul is suspending online sales of fruity-flavored cartridges in their vaping devices. They're trying to deter teenagers from buying them. Special guest in the studio this morning, Alex Azar, Health and Human Services Secretary. Mr. Secretary, welcome to the program.
Great to be with you, Stuart.
I heard you earlier this morning saying that vaping devices, if I can call them that, are illegal anyway. I didn't know that.
That's absolutely right. The Tobacco Control Act says that these e-cigarette devices actually have to be approved by FDA before they can be on the market. Now, the Obama administration said, let's let these be on the market so that adults can get used to them, build a market share to get off of cigarettes.
Sure.
And we carried that forward. But the problem is what we saw is just this explosion of kids using e-cigarettes. And we now have 5 million kids regularly using e-cigarettes and 8 million adults. And while it's important to get adults off of cigarettes, and we're committed to that, we can't let a whole generation of kids get addicted to nicotine.
Because those 5 million youngsters...
Notice how the equation between nicotine and cigarettes is just on par here. It's not the same thing. That's why they continuously call it e-cigarettes. Vaping does not have tar, does not have formaldehyde, does not have all it. It may have other crap in there, but this is a hit job on an entire industry.
Are indeed addicted to nicotine at this point.
The first lady and I were with kids last week. A young girl who was doing multiple of these cartridges. Each one is a pack of cigarettes and nicotine.
Let's make a better comparison. It's like smoking a pack of cigarettes, 25 in your face all at one time.
You've got kids who have to go to AA. They're going to be in recovery the rest of their life. They're so addicted to nicotine. The LA Times had a story that people are actually starting to use cigarettes to wean themselves off of their nicotine addiction.
This happens all the time.
From the e-cigarette products.
Do you think they should be banned? That's a foolish question. If you ban the whole thing, then you ban the device which gets people away from smoking tobacco, and that's a bad thing in itself.
That's right.
So your job really is to stop kids getting it. But
now that was very important. I think it's actually Stuart Varney, so it may be Fox Business. That's very important what he said there. Well, we can't be banning devices. No, we can't do that because we've got the smokeless tobacco device coming out.
Supposing you had to have a doctor's
hold on a second. I wish you could back it up because the way it was phrased, because this is obviously rehearsed, Varney makes it sound as though he does an aside. It's one of these funny grammatical things where he says we should be banning these things, something about cigarettes, which is a bad thing in itself, and it made it sound as though banning the vaping devices is a bad thing. It was very funny structure, but it's what he actually said.
Well,
maybe the truth wants to come out.
Oh, I'll back it up. Let's listen again.
Cigarettes, nicotine. You've got kids who have to go to AA. They're going to be in recovery the rest of their life. They're so addicted to nicotine. The LA Times had a story that people are actually starting to use cigarettes to wean themselves off of their nicotine addiction from the e-cigarette products.
Do you think they should be banned? That's a foolish question. If you ban the whole thing, then you ban the device which gets people away from smoking tobacco, and that's a bad thing in itself.
That's right.
So your job really is...
Yeah. It's like the truth came out and he caught himself, I guess, kind of.
I don't know.
It was very weird.
To stop kids getting it, but supposing you had to have a doctor's prescription to get one of these things.
That could be one option that Congress could look at. It's all about balance. We want the adults to have access to products so they can get off of cigarettes. We want to keep them away from kids. The key right now is we're not banning them. Congress actually said it's Congress banned.
Second.
We're starting to...
Stop. There's a logic inconsistent. Well, this whole thing is
yes,
but the logical inconsistency is the following. One, kids are using these things and they have to smoke cigarettes to get off of them.
That's what he just said, according to the LA Times.
But meanwhile, the only thing they're good for is to get people off of cigarettes.
Yeah.
So how can they be good at getting you off cigarettes is that if you use them, you have to use cigarettes to get off them. It makes zero sense what he said.
Because it's also bullcrap.
Well, we know the whole thing is bullcrap and it's just a scheme. And Varney should be ashamed of himself for this is a native ad for something.
For IQOS. It's setting it all up. They're opening stores all over America now. They look like Apple stores, and you go in and it's a vape-like looking device, and it's got a pod, except it's not just pure nicotine. It's smokeless tobacco. I'm dying to try one because I want to see what all the hype is about. But it's, so you're actually getting a cigarette, only it's kind of like Barbarians at the Gate, the smokeless cigarette. That's been the holy grail for the tobacco industry for decades, is to have
How
this.
How do you spell IQUOS?
I, small I, capital QOS, and you pronounce it IQOS. It's the shittiest branding I've ever heard of. I'm going to continue the clip. Couple seconds left.
A doctor's prescription.
Yep,
Get one of these.
that could be one option that Congress could look at. It's all about balance. We want the adults to have access to products so they can get off of cigarettes. We want to keep them away from kids. The key right now is we're not banning them. Congress actually said, Congress banned. We're starting to enforce that and say, if you have products that are attractive and available to kids, get off the market. All of you, by May of 2020, have to come into...
if you have products that are attractive and marketable to kids, like, I don't know, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, maybe you should be banned too. It's dangerous for their health.
To FDA and submit an application. And we'll review that. We'll look at nicotine levels. We'll look at all the ingredients. Are they safe? Can the product be adulterated? And are you going to market in a way that will make them available to kids? So we'll bring them under a regulatory framework for the first time.
Yay! Douchebags. And the First Lady's in on this. Very disappointing that she's been roped into this. She's out there, vaping, very bad, very bad. Yeah, I don't think any of that's good for kids. But please, don't, just lying. The huge tobacco lobby does not deal in nicotine, they deal in tobacco. And they could not have these nicotine administration devices floating out there getting people hooked on nicotine. They need to be the delivery device. They have tobacco fields and a whole infrastructure. That's why IQOS, that's where it's headed. Did you look it up?
I was looking up to see if there's a store in Austin, and I can't see it.
No, there isn't. I'm waiting for it. No, there is no store in Austin. They're just starting, but I've gotten lots of the
device cost 100 simoleons.
What cost 100 simoleons?
$100 for the little smoking thingy.
Yeah, and then how much for the pods?
I haven't gotten that price yet, but it's too expensive.
And actually, it's called the heat stick.
Yeah, the heat.
Double E.
Hey, I got the heat,
man. I got the heat. Yeah.
Pass it around.
Yeah, pass around the heat. What is this? Let me see. Is this a video? What is this? Is this a video they got going on here? Oh, no audio. Okay. Whatevs. Fine. So there you go. An industry being killed for the tobacco lobby. Everyone's in on it, including Varney. Yeah, and it's just okay. Well, whatever. We'll just go along with it.
I think this is a very roundabout way of doing things. I think it was borderline genius. I thought that Juul was going to be the product. They were going to use it as the entry point thing, but no, they just bought it.
They bought it to kill it. They bought it to kill it.
This is an old-fashioned scheme. This is the old way it used to be done. You buy it and you kill it.
Yep. Catch and kill.
It was dynamite.
Yeah. Well, it would be nice.
I don't know why you're so disgusted. I'm impressed. I don't smoke. I don't care.
No, I don't. I just hate my government doing this to me and to people, to the people. And it's just...
yeah, because the government's always been so honest.
What would we do with this show? If the government was honest, there'd be no show.
Yeah, we'd be done.
Yeah, but it wouldn't happen. But it's the media. I mean, this is a business show. And e-cigarettes, fuck off. I'm sorry.
It was lame. That was lame.
Yeah,
it was really embarrassing. This is why people should be listening and donating to the No Agenda show, because we don't do that stuff. Scripted promotion for something? Unbelievable. But they do it constantly.
I think we should leave our show on that note. You can
leave the show.
You've made a perfect point for an out.
It is an out.
We'll continue by saying
support the No Agenda show because it's your only. Well, it's our road to sanity.
Hell yes.
Keeps people from killing themselves on the freeway.
On I-35, which isn't even a freeway, it's a highway. Well, thank you all very much for supporting us.
And hold on a second. What? How can the I-35 internet? That's the interstate system. I-35 has to be a freeway.
Okay, it's a freeway. I guess. Thank you for supporting the show, everybody. Dvorak.org/NA. Coming to you from the Opportunity Zone 33 in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA region number 6 on the governmental maps. in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
Coming up after the show on NoAgendaStream.com, we've got the Grumpy Old Bens, episode 31, Artificial Intelligence, and end-of-show mixes from Sir Timothy and Sir Kevin and the local One Choir, Jesse Coy Nelson and Dave Corbanou. Until Thursday, everybody. Adios, mofos! And such.
You want it, here it is, coming Brexit. Make your mind up fast. If you want it, anytime you can take it, but you better hurry, 'cause it may not last. Did I hear you say that there must be a catch? Will you walk away from a fool and her Fourth Reich? If you want it, here it is, coming Brexit. But you better hurry, 'cause it's going fast. You better hurry, 'cause it's going fast. You better hurry, 'cause it's going fast.
All the douchebags from decades and decades prior who were in all those deals, and that includes the Clintons and the Bushes and just all these, the Cheneys of the world, they're all in these deals. We don't need it. We don't need it. All the douchebags from decades and decades prior, we don't need it. We don't need it. So what I see Trump doing is, screw it. We're out. It was a campaign promise.
Yes, it was.
Pound sand. Go figure it out. He has made a very specific threat towards Turkey. If Turkey starts massacring people, he says, I will bring down their economy. I will kill their economy. And he can. It was a campaign promise.
Yes, it was.
Hey! I have
Jean-Claude's the boss here.
Yeah. I have to say that I'm happy about the deal, but I'm sad about Brexit.
Well, as it turns out, I'm secretly evil.
It provides certainty where Brexit creates uncertainty.
Imagine my head is the planet. The surface has quacks in it, like this.
The negotiation on the future relations immediately after the deal will have been approved. We'll start our debates on the 1st of November without interruption. It's also up to the European Parliament. There will be no border on the island of Ireland.
Oh, you double-crossing wabbit, you treacherous miscreant, put me down. Put me on the ground or I'll strangle you. Oh, you...
Brexit.
Oh, you...
Brexit. And the single market will be protected.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Oh,